jam! Hello again, and welcome to another... No, wait, that's Monday Night Magic. Oh my god. Okay, starting over. Oh, jam! Hello again, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is episode 472 of the Mana Pool. Brought to you,
yeah, it is,
as always, by the strange decisions Wizards of the Coast has made throughout the years.
Some of them made sense.
Some of them. We'll get to that very shortly. I am Chewy, the lead dork, and with me, as always, are some other dorks. Hey, dorks. I've missed you guys, even though it's only been a week.
Well, I missed you too. It's Brian, the lead rambler. Technically, it's been a week and a day.
Dun, dun, dun.
And as much as I enjoyed last week, and I certainly hope other people did, it's good to get back to just some straight up MTG, card based whatnot nonsense.
Shenanigans.
So, yes. Shenanery.
I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy. And it's also good to hear you guys again. So I got to visit with Brian yesterday evening.
Yeah, you did. Yes, he did.
Ooh, and you saw me whatever day that was.
What day was that?
I have no idea.
Was that this week or last week?
I also
don't
don't
even
know
remember
that.
Bad at this game. I'm going to see Dirk in 2 days.
Hey, me too.
Yeah, everybody that's a good friend will see Dirk in 2 days.
We're helping Dirk move, and Mike has wriggled his way out of it. But I'm not going to be even remotely close. Meh. Whatever, Mike. We know you're going to be hiding in your apartment going, hey, look at me not moving boxes.
No. I actually feel worse about the one time when, let's see. I can't remember if, Dirk, I can't remember if you and Chelsea were moving into an apartment in Burlington or out of. But, I got up, I was staying at my parents' house that weekend, and I woke up late, and it took me a while to, get dressed and eat breakfast and whatnot. And by the time I finally showed up, everyone was pretty much done. And I'm like, hey,
Well, I don't remember exactly at this point either, but hey, I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I will see these guys later on. And if I don't get to see Mike on Saturday, then I will most definitely be seeing the guys way more often than I have the past 2 years.
Yay!
Is that a promise or a threat?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Just so we're clear.
So, real quick about last week's episode, we got some super sweet...
Yes.
I have lost the email. We got some custom cards from... I apologize if I screw this up. I think it's Shy. I think is your name. How you pronounce it? I'm so sorry. If you listen to Monday Night Magic, you know I routinely cannot pronounce names, even normal ones. Isn't that right, Brian Becaire?
Hey, every time I want to call Mike from my Bluetooth with my hands-free device in my car, I have to say Mike Shiver. And I have to say Mike Shiver. And even if I can slur the last name a little bit, because I know how much he doesn't like that, it says, okay, I'm calling Mike Shiver now. And I'm like, exactly.
Siri, you bitch. So yeah, Shy sent us a plane and 2 cards that were based off of the last episode, the Trivister campaign.
The last several episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
One of them was specifically relating to a location that we went to last time, but the other 2 featured characters and or settings that you had already seen. So
good point.
And he said, I'm probably way off from what Brian intended these to be, but I figured I might as well give it a go. No, sir, you're not. And quite frankly, if and we're going to post a link to these, right? Because
I'm going to put them in the post for this episode or something like that, somewhere where you guys can see them.
Mm-hmm.
But he did an awesome job, and these I love these. Can we just do these real quick?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Sweet. Well, I didn't. Okay, all right. Lots of work. I was kind of hoping Mike would do it.
It's like, can we do this right now? Sure. Silence, crickets, crickets.
Okay, I mean,
I
just
wasn't
assumed
going to
you
do
were
them all
first.
myself. No.
Okay, sure. Okay, well, the plane is Drasil. That's the giant tree. Drasil is on the plane of Trivister, which we already know at this point. If you would play, and this is a really neat ability. I was
like
giving me a lot to think about when I read it. If you would planeswalk away from Drasil, if there are less than 30 lands on the battlefield, instead, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library.
Yeah,
That's
I like
so
that.
cool.
Yeah, so you just kind of stay
Because-
there.
Yeah, you can't. Well, instead of going where you think you're going to go, you end up
Somewhere else.
Somewhere
That's
else
so
on
cool.
Trivister.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
can't leave Trivister. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then the the chaos ability is one where I'd kind of be reluctant to actually try to resolve it during a game. But whenever you roll, I think that's supposed to be the chaos symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For each land, choose a player at random. Then each player gains control of each land for which he or she was chosen.
Yeah. Basically, you're just randomly reassigning lands.
Yeah.
Which
This would be awesome in a digital version of Magic.
Yes.
Yeah. In a pen and paper, you're gonna get this, and there's gonna be like 13 lands out. It's not even gonna be that hard with 3 or 4 players, and you're gonna have to stop and rearrange them, and then you're gonna like, okay, that was my free roll, and like 2 rolls later, you're like, son of a. So
Oh yeah, because they're not changing tapped or untapped status. So ugh.
yeah. So I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's really neat, but yeah.
It's like chaos. Okay, you win. Whatever.
Next game.
Yeah.
So that was the playing card. He's got an enchantment here, and this was from the city that these guys were in the last episode prior to the one we just did. And they noticed that the castle had a moat around it, and the moat is perpetually warmed due to some arcane magics that are there. And so this is heated moat. For a red and a white, it's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life, and whenever a creature without flying attacks you, heated moat deals 1 damage to that creature. So I kind of like it. And then the quote is something that I think actually came up in the game. We don't really know how to turn it off, but it comes in handy. Tire City Guard. So, yeah. And they had said that because of the locations somewhat close to the mountains. So, hey, look, free heating and air conditioning. Well, not so much air conditioning, but at least free heating. They're still working on the indoor plumbing thing, though. So,
Well, do you want me to go ahead and take the last one?
sure.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
All right, so the last one is Lore Keeper Erideth.
Do you remember where you came across this individual?
That's the guy from the library.
The library.
Yes.
Yeah, the big library in Edda.
Yeah. Good job.
So we have for 3, a white and a blue. Legendary creature elemental. It's a 4/4 defender with flying. At the beginning of each player's instep, if that player didn't attack you this turn, he or she may draw a card.
Seems good.
Yeah.
I like the nod toward like politics in gaming. I like that a lot.
And I like how the way this is written, you always get an extra card since, you can't attack yourself. So
Right.
Eh.
But it then gives other people incentive to attack anywhere else, but not you. It feels like the spy. What was his name? The spy master of Trust, the Simic guy.
Oh,
from
yeah.
the first conspiracy,
Edric.
where it was like whenever a creature deals damage to someone that's not you, the controller draws a card or something like that.
Yes.
So, but this is an even more pacified version of that. And again, I think the quote in the flavor text was something that came up in the game. So I love that Shay, if I'm mispronouncing it probably terribly, was paying enough attention and engrossed in this enough to remember these things. That's awesome.
Those who don't believe their power limitless are usually more receptive to having their questions answered. So yeah, thank you so much, sir. They are totally awesome.
Yes.
I said I will put those in either links or actual images or something in the post on the website.
And I had not responded to his email with us because I knew that we were going to bring it up here. So thank you. Yeah.
So,
plus, I'm just terrible at that. Yeah. Yes.
yeah, we are genuinely awful at answering emails, as anyone who's ever sent us an email knows. Now, it turns out we're not alone on this episode. Sorry about that. We are, not that we're not alone, that we've taken so long before allowing our guests to say anything.
I don't feel bad about that at all.
Yeah, I don't either. But I was trying to be polite. So, we are joined by level 3 Judge. Ooh. How's that feel?
Oh boy, that feels, you might even say, land's delicious.
No, I would actually not say that. But we're joined by level 3 Judge and Star City Games writer, Chris Lansdell.
Me.
It is.
Hello. Also, this episode is now Band's Delicious.
Oh.
I got a million of them. None of them are good.
At least we know where we stand then. So yes, this is, as you can tell by the title of the episode, the history of the Banhammer Part 3, which means we had to get Senor Lansdell, right? Because you're in Canada, and that's the language they speak in Canada, right?
I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah. We had to get Chris back because he's been here for parts 1 and 2. So last time, we made it all the way through 2010 and paused right before a huge ban and then a new format.
It's going to be huge. It's great. It's really great. Was that modern, by the way?
What? No, the huge ban was the standard ban, of which much hoopla was made. So, in June of 2011, Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic were banned in standard.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
They were
Everybody either just plays Cobblade or boards entirely to beat Cobblade and loses anyway. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, they weren't totally banned.
Yeah, there was kind of an awkward situation.
So, yeah.
We still want you to buy our stuff. So
Yeah, there were things called event decks at the time that were standard legal, ready to play out of the box.
they were meant to be like, you know, you buy this and it's at least got a decent chance of giving you a competitive edge in a tournament. Not like a legacy tournament, but
like a Friday Night Magic or something.
Yeah,
Right,
you'll
right.
buy it, and you'll have a half decent record at F&M. Yeah.
Right.
So the problem was that they decided that they should make one of these based around all the cool equipment from Zendikar and Scars of Mirrodin, and that they should put Stoneforge Mystic in there.
Yeah. Because it fits perfectly.
And like Brian said, we still want you to buy our stuff. So, Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic are banned in standard unless you are playing the War of Attrition event deck that has not been modified at all in the slightest. Because it's got 2 Stoneforge Mystics in it.
Yeah.
So a Canadian level 2 judge by the name of Kyle Rick decided he was going to troll the ever-loving heck out of some judges and showed up to a PTQ with an all-foiled version of the event deck, which is completely legal. And when he goes in round 1, turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic, his opponent's hand shot up, yelled out judge. And the judge comes over, shaking his head because the judge has been apprised of the situation. and just goes, your opponent's deck is legal in the format. Leaving the guy not at all sure what in the name of heck is going on here.
That's why you got to pay attention to these announcements. So, not that he was expecting to play against that deck, but, you know, I wish every time somebody plays Stoneforge Mystic against me leading up to this, I could have called the judge. That would have been great.
So yeah, the reason for this, of course, was Callblade.
Mhm.
The Callblade deck was just making standard more miserable than it had been since Affinity.
As a person that played it this time, yeah, it really was terrible.
It was like a perfect storm of things going wrong because you had Jace without a natural predator for him.
Mm-hmm.
You had the card drawing engine of Jace plus Squadron Hawk. You had Mana Leak, you had Preordain, you had Ponder.
Right.
Like, the deck looked awful.
Well, Squadron Hawk, you're just
it's got a bunch of cards in it that don't seem to do anything. But the
Yeah.
problem is that what those cards do is that they work together to magically make the top card of your deck whatever the heck you want.
all the time.
Yeah.
Well, more to the point, they let you draw Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if you know this, but he's better than all.
Well, and the funny thing is, as much as everybody hates Jace, you could entirely win a game without ever drawing Jace if you got a Squadron Hawk and threw a Sword of Feast and Famine on it. It was the sword that really pushed over the top because, Jace the Mind Sculptor had been legal since Worldwake. It was not seeing a whole lot of play until Scars of Mirrodin came out. And then all of a sudden you got the Sword of Feast and Famine, which meant, oh, look, I'm never untapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Batterskull was the real.
Batterskull was the.
Well, yeah, it wasn't even until Mirrodin Besieged, because remember, Scars of Mirrodin, it was just sort of body and mind.
Yeah.
And Stoneforge Mystic wasn't even all that great until Sword of Feast and Famine got released in Mirrodin Besieged.
You're right.
And then
Mirrodin Besieged was it.
And then Sword of War and Peace made it even worse.
Well, by the time Sword of War and Peace, which was in
New
Phyrexia, and Batterskull came out, it was already a done deal. Batterskull made it much, much worse, but at that point it was already too late.
Yeah.
So
it was a super dominant deck, and this was one of those times when sales diverged from tournament attendance, and tournament attendance started tanking.
And at that point, the Wizards like, okay, not the monies. You can hit us in the face, but not the monies. So, which I'm not knocking them for. They're a corporation; they have to look at these sorts of bottom lines. So, but it was, again, having gone to a couple tournaments, including some Star City Opens at the time, and just knowing it was just going to be there. It was just kind of a rough experience. I mean, there's always a top deck, but this was like the top deck, like overwhelmingly so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Stoneforge was also a tutor and a throw onto the battlefield for essentially free card.
Yeah, it's a demonic tutor show and tell combo all in the same card.
Yeah, and all of the amazing equipments that we've just rattled off were just way better than they should have been.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was actually awful. And I'm pretty sure if you go back and listen to our episode the week this happened, we went into great detail. Because all of these, from here on out, we've been podcasting since. And actually, we've been podcasting for a little while when this one happened.
I actually wrote an article for our website. It's
the devil you say.
Yeah, the banning made such an impression on me at the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, there you go.
But Dog Ritual's still fine.
Oh, it's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
With 3 mana for 1 mana? Psh, it's just for the one turn. Whatever.
There was some argument at the time that maybe Jace did not need to be banned. I like to call those people wrong.
Yeah, no, with all the shuffle effects, you still have the huge problem of that brainstorm ability, just generating a ridiculous amount of
every
card
card
selection and card advantage.
See, there were a couple of problems that we haven't mentioned. Like every card in the format had to pass the Jace test.
Yes.
Because Jace came down and could just instantly bounce something. If your creature didn't impact the board the turn you played it, you couldn't cast it.
Mm-hmm.
And there were decks that could beat Coreblade, like Elves was good enough to do it, but Valakut was also around at this time. And Valakut was just murder on creature-based aggro decks. You had Slagstorm, you had Inferno Titan, and they just really had no way to interact with Valakut's game plan. So, perfect storm.
Yeah, it was vaguely ridiculous. There are some people who say that Jace should be unbanned in Modern, but we're not there yet because Modern doesn't even exist.
What's Modern?
Exactly. So this was June 2011. Right. So now, in August 2011, hey, look, Modern is a sanctioned format. Yay!
Yay!
So this was after Pro Tour Philadelphia, where Modern first existed,
Right. They ran it as an experiment for the constructed portion.
and it was run by Splinter Twin because, of course, it was.
So, when Modern popped out, what I refer to as the Day Zero ban list.
Yeah, the Day Zero ban list is a lot of cards that were absolute horrors in their respective standard environments, and they didn't want them to suddenly become standard and extended for several of them, and they didn't want them to suddenly start dominating and ruining this brand new format that they wanted to try out.
Yeah. So those cards are the artifact lands,
Mm-hmm.
because those are always a problem all the time.
Yeah. Except for Darksteel Citadel. That was fine.
Oh, right. Darksteel Citadel's not on here. So the colored artifact lands.
Right.
Excuse me. And then Ancestral Vision, because draw 3 cards for free?
Yeah, Ancestral Vision and Bitter Blossom, I think, go together.
Really?
Yeah, because they were both part of the super annoying Fairies deck in Standard.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was because of, what Ancestral Vision is used for. The... Oh, God. Cascade.
Cascade. That might have been part of it.
So
No, wait. I think that Fairies deck was extended because Time Spiral and Lorwyn, were they in Standard at the same time?
Time Spiral and Lorwyn, they should be. Yeah, they should. Yeah,
They were. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, Bitter Blossom, as Mike said. Chrome Mox, even though Dark Ritual's fine, Chrome Mox is not, turns out. Dark Depths, because no.
Well, because Vampire Hexmage exists.
Exactly. Dread Return, that was some sort of bizarre combo deck, right?
That was the
Dredge.
That was the extended Dredge deck,
Yeah, okay. Dread Return is the one that has...
and I think also Standard.
What is it? Sacrifice 3 creatures to get something back from the graveyard?
Yeah, as its
it's a
flashback
flashback,
cost.
yeah.
It doesn't actually cost any mana to flashback.
Yeah, and that's always bad. Glimpse of Nature, because of its combo engine nature.
Mm-hmm.
Golgari Grave Troll. We'll hear more about him several times.
In and out like a fiddler's elbow.
You're right. Hypergenesis,
Because no.
because hell no. Why specifically, though? Was that another Cascade thing?
That must
Yeah.
have been because that was also a huge extended deck.
Right. Jace the Mind Sculptor, because nobody likes Jace the Mind Sculptor, apparently. Mental Misstep, which I forgot was on the... Oh, it was in Legacy that it wasn't banned. Right. Okay, yeah. Mental Misstep, because it just hurts too many cards in the format, and it's free.
Mm-hmm.
There are too many
And
decks in the
every
format.
deck was going to play 4 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's completely insane. Seed of the... Oh, that's one of the artifact lands. Sensei's Divining Top. And they
Because
said...
no.
And they said it was because they wanted these tournaments to end at some point.
Also counterbalances in Modern.
Okay, yeah. Skull Clamp, which, you know,
'Cause it's completely unfair.
we talked about that last time.
Mm-hmm.
Stoneforge Mystic, see the discussion from a minute ago. Sword of the Meek, which we talked about last week because of its ridiculous
Yeah, with the Thopter Foundry.
Thopter Foundry combo.
And it's also related to the Thopter Depths deck. Another reason that Dark Depths got banned.
Oh, okay.
Remember, because the deck could go either two ways. Either win with Dark Depths or grind out a ridiculous advantage with Thopter Foundry and the Sword.
Oh, okay. So they took those two win conditions and put them in the same deck. Makes sense. Umezo is GTA because the Fork of Doom is just always too good, apparently. Valakut the let me try that again. Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, because apparently they didn't want Scapeshift to be a thing.
Does anyone want Scapeshift to be a thing?
Scapeshift players, yeah,
Okay, that's fair.
yeah. And there you go. That's the Day Zero list. Seems to make sense, I guess. Right? Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, there's a bunch of cards that they knew were likely to cause major problems, so they just decided, hey, let's not go there.
Yeah. So that was August when they created Modern. Then in September, we had the next ban restricted list update where a few cards joined those. And then Dirk hiccuped, and it was really funny. So we had Blazing Shoal, because you
It was
could...
part of like Crazy Turn 2 Infect Kills.
Yeah. We had Rite of Flame, because Dark Ritual's fine, but Rite of Flame is not, because it's red.
Let's be clear, Dark Ritual hadn't actually been printed in a modern legal set, so
True.
But it's fine.
it's not a concern right now.
We
it's
have
fun.
documented proof that the card is fine.
Yeah. Because reasons. Ponder and Preordain were added to the ban list because those two together there were too many.
One cast, one cost.
Well, there were too many like combo decks that just needed to sift through the deck, and Ponder and Preordain were like the best options for that.
Yeah. Like I quipped before, they magically make the top card of your deck whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, and instead of killing the combo deck, they just wanted to make it less consistent, so it would be, lesser percentages of the meta.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We had Cloud Post because Dark Ritual's fine, but a land that makes like 86 mana is totally not cool.
86 mana? Boy, are you playing it wrong.
My deck's not optimized. And then Green Sun Zenith, because, mainly, I think, because of Dryad Arbor and the toolbox mentality.
Yeah. Because reusable tutors are not fine.
There's also that, yeah. So yeah, you could, for a single green, you could go get a Dryad Arbor, which is a half-cost rampant growth. What?
Yeah.
What? And then, they say it made the toolbox creatures like going to get Gaddock Teague. It was just too good.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Let's make Modern less insane. Sounds good. But that's not it.
There were other changes, right? Other stuff happened.
So, and some of these are a little weird. So in Legacy, Mental Misstep was banned because why wasn't it banned before this?
Well, they thought it was going to give the creature decks a good weapon against blue decks, but no, it just made the blue decks even better and completely froze out the creature decks that relied on a lot of 1-drops.
Yep.
Oops.
If only somebody could have seen this coming.
And also because every deck was going to play 4 of them because it's Legacy. Where every deck has 1-drops, and why would you not put Mental Misstep in your deck? Because it's free. Remember, Mental Misstep costs a Phyrexian blue mana. It says counter target spell with converted mana cost 1. And if it hadn't been free, I think this card would have been fine. Maybe not fine, but it wouldn't have been such a massive problem. But Phyrexian mana means 2 life, counter all the things that cost 1. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Vintage, they unrestricted Fact or Fiction because they wanted to shake up the meta a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think this was like the last hurrah of Extended. There were bannings in Extended because Modern was brand new, so they hadn't officially dropped Extended yet.
Yeah. It wasn't. They didn't know yet whether Modern was going to be able to replace Extended, so they still had both.
Exactly. Although it seems like for a while there hadn't been much interest in Extended, if I remember correctly.
No, I mean people would
Wizards
just play it. People would just play it because it was the format of some premier event that they were practicing for or trying to qualify for, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
There were some people who genuinely liked it. There were a lot of people who genuinely liked it, and a lot of those people ended up playing Modern.
Yeah. So, following what we've said about other formats, they banned Jace, Mental Misstep, Ponder, Preordain, and Stoneforge Mystic, which makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
Buh. So that was everything in September, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The deck that got Blazing Shoal banned was actually really hilarious. Sam Black is the person who innovated it, and he was pitching the Reaper King to Blazing Shoal for the infect kill.
See, now that's funny.
Yeah, I remember hearing, Reaper King. Once the Reaper King, sometimes it was Progenitus.
And
Sometimes it was Dragon Tyrant. No, that's too old.
No, it might have been Dragon Storm. Because I remember he was like in the finals, he was going nuts trying to find just one card to pitch to Blazing Shoal, and he was peering through depths and doing all sorts of nonsense. I remember tweeting at him afterwards and saying, why aren't you running Searing Wind, which, you can find with Peer Through Depths, also costs 9, and, maybe at some point you could actually cast.
Mm-hmm.
I think that deck was running Disrupting Shoal as well, because Disrupting Shoal pitching, whatchamacallit, Reaper King is also a thing.
I thought X has to be equal to whatever you're...
Is it equal to?
I
think it is equal to, yeah.
Blazing Shoal says converted mana cost X in your hand, yeah. And then target creature gets +X/+O.
Well, no, we're asking about Disrupting Shoal. Counter target spell if its converted mana cost is X.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it has to be equal.
Excuse me, wrong shoal.
At least it's not puking fish.
All right, so let's move on to December of 2011, where Punishing Fire was banned in Modern because of the Grove of the Burn Willows combo, which just makes...
It's a very funny combo.
Yeah, but it means that... So Grove of the Burn Willows, tap, get a mana, your opponent gains 1 life. Punishing Fire says... whenever an opponent
deal 2
gains,
damage.
Yeah, it's a shock for 2 mana. It says whenever an opponent gains life, you can pay a red and get it back from your graveyard. So any sort of creature-based deck is boned because you can kill whatever they have on the board whenever you want to.
So the reason the tournament that got this deck banned was actually a GP where the finals was determined by a player literally burning his opponent out 1 point at a time with Punishing Fire and Grove of the Burn Willows.
Oh, gain 1, take 2, gain 1, take 2.
Yeah. And funnily enough, they decided they didn't want that.
Must not be very thrilling to watch.
Oh my god. It was like pulling teeth.
So,
Sam asked me to pull a tooth earlier today. It was still stuck in there too much, but it wasn't fun for anyone, so don't know why you make that analogy.
Did you tie the string around it and tie the string to the doorknob and slam the door? I don't know where that came from.
Well, I've never been able to tie knots that well, especially something as tiny as... Have you seen a baby tooth? They're not big. So anyway.
Have I seen a baby tooth? Brian.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I had a box of goldfish here. I couldn't resist.
Is that the last? Is that all that's left after your beard is done with them?
Chewy, are you Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
No, I'm not the Tooth Fairy.
What's that smell?
So,
right.
Punishing Fire was banned. Also, Wild Nacatl was banned because at the time in Modern, zoo decks were just insane.
Yeah.
They were everywhere. They were all over the place. And it's a 1-mana 3/3. And
yeah, Kurde, Plum, Lion, Wild Nacatl were just running rampant.
Yeah. So they went, let's just get rid of that, try to depower the insane zoo deck. Because zoo was a significant portion of the field.
Of the meta. Yeah.
And it was... Mm-hmm. It wasn't... because they went so hard nerfing all the blue cards, or the blue decks, that... The backlash was just, okay, everybody play lots of efficient creatures and smash people. And they went, well, that's not really healthy either. So they were trying to balance it out. So there you go.
Right.
So that is the end of 2011. That takes us to 2012, where... I forgot about this. In Innistrad Block Constructed, Intangible Virtue and Lingering Souls were banned in March.
Yeah, so they kind of forgot to put removal, especially sweepers. They forgot to put sweepers in Innistrad Block Constructed. So it was extremely difficult to deal with a large crowd of creatures. Intangible Virtue made your crowd of token creatures even better, and Lingering Souls itself made a huge crowd of flying creatures.
And the fact that, it doesn't say for 5 mana get 4 creatures with flying, because that actually, believe it or not, wouldn't be as good. The fact that, you can play it, get some threats out, and then when they destroy those threats, you just flash it back. It actually makes it stronger because you weren't committing too much to the board at any given time.
Yeah. Plus, as we've learned, Lingering Souls is completely ridiculous and is still played in like all the formats.
Yeah, it's still a major force in Modern.
Yeah. So in such a small format as Innistrad Block Constructed,
Yeah.
So that was that. Now in June, there was a change to Legacy. They unbanned land tax, which I seem to recall thinking would never be done. And it seems like Mike said that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it was just one of those things that's just been, I mean, if you've ever played with it or against it, you know how good it is. And it had just been banned in the format for forever. So, but apparently, didn't really cause any issues. They really like to be able to take opportunities in Legacy to unban stuff just to see what, if they think it's safe and they'll do something interesting. And in Vintage to unrestrict stuff if they think it's safe and to see what would happen.
Yeah. And at the time, white-blue Delver decks were not running rampant, but there were a lot of them. So they were like, let's see if we can shake it up a bit with land tax. It turns out, no, but, whatever.
Worth a shot.
I forgot that white-blue Delver was a thing in Legacy.
Yeah.
Weird.
A little weird.
Wait, it was? In Legacy?
Oh, wait.
Now I'm wondering if you're reading that.
I think, yeah, because, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Because Legacy was the only thing that changed, I just assumed that this whole paragraph, or all these paragraphs were about Legacy. No. Legacy had nothing to do with white-blue. White-blue Delver was big in Standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot
Okay,
that Delver was in Standard at some point.
Oh yeah, that was that was the main thing. Okay, you were just reading the wrong paragraph.
Yeah.
No wonder I didn't remember that.
It's so funny how that deck started out as the Illusions deck that Todd Anderson played, where like the whole point of the deck was to play like Phantasmal Bear and just nonsense.
And then it kind of just people figured out, wait a minute, this one guy is really good, and a 1 mana 3/2 with flying.
Yeah.
What
if I just played Delver and Snapcaster Mage?
Would you say that the deck transformed into a Delver deck?
No, I wouldn't, because
Chris would have.
Brian did not find that amusing.
You're making me flip out over here.
Sick. Okay, then. So let's move on to September, which I apparently didn't open that one. But in September, they unbanned Valakut.
From Modern, yeah.
From Modern, yep.
For reasons that... Oh, here we go. They unbanned it because... Just because.
It was
Because
on
of the
the
wonderful things he does.
It was on the original banned list.
Yep. And they were like, let's see what happens if we add in a card that will enable a whole other deck. Let's see what happens. And they looked at it real hard and went with Valakut, which, as we know nowadays, is still a thing in Modern in all of its various forms.
Mm-hmm.
So that's neat. And then in Vintage, they unrestricted Burning Wish.
Which is kind of surprising.
I don't think it's busted anything wide open since, so...
Not that anyone would know, because only like 6 people play Vintage. But
Oh. Yeah,
There
but
were-
those 6 people have not complained.
There were 11 people playing Vintage at GP Toronto, sir.
Nice.
is that a real number?
Yes.
Oh, that's sad. Although that's actually more than I would think at GP Toronto, so nice. So there you go. They unrestricted that in Vintage to see what would happen. We're getting to the point where they want to see what would happen, and yeah.
None of those bannings, Lantax, Valakut, Burning Wish, actually broke anything. Valakut's been a sort of tier 1, tier 2 deck ever since. Lantax barely shows up, mainly because nobody ever plays Legacy. And Burning Wish, I don't watch a lot of Vintage, but I don't remember hearing any of my vintage playing friends screaming for its ban. So
Yeah.
I mean, I assume it's important in the Storm deck, but I can't really think of anything beyond that.
yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
I mean, you'd think so. So that was September 2012. In January of 2013, Modern took a hit because they banned. Oh God.
Easy for you to say, Chewy.
Is it? Is it?
It's gruel, actually.
They banned Bloodbraid Elf. There we go.
Yeah, this was around the time that Jund was just everywhere.
It
Yeah.
really was.
And they hadn't figured out yet that the problem was actually Deathrite Shaman.
But Bloodbraid Elf is an extremely efficient, possibly over-efficient creature. So I get why they did it.
Yeah, and it was a 4 of in like all the Jund decks.
Yeah.
I went, maybe this is a thing that gives this deck the slight edge.
Because, hey, free cards.
Yeah, exactly. And again, when Wizards makes bans like this, they're not trying to kill a deck, even though it's, more dominant than they would like. They're just trying to pull it back so it's not miles and miles above the rest. I love bans like this.
Seething Song was supposed to kill Storm.
Yeah, and then they banned Seething Song because, maybe Dark Ritual in
Wasn't-
Legacy's fine. But Dark Ritual in Modern in Red, it's not cool, man. It's still a 2-mana profit. Is why I call it Dark Ritual. But yeah, instead
It's
of
3
1
mana.
mana, you get 3. It's 3 mana, you get 5.
Yeah.
And yeah, because Storm was winning on turn 3, they were like, I think this is the card that will make that stop happening. And it turns out they were mostly right.
Well, they had already tried to kill it by banning Rite of Flame,
Yeah,
but that didn't work.
yeah, because Seething Song. So there you go. Jund and Storm were ruling the world. Maybe not
What a
ruling the world.
country.
Oh, and then
Popper.
in Pauper on Magic Online, they banned Empty the Warrens, Grape Shot, and Invigorate because Storm, and Free. Right? Invigorate is the free one? Yeah.
Which helps with Storm counts, as well as Infect.
Yeah, Invigorate's more of an effect card than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Here, have some life. That doesn't matter if you have it or not anyway. By the way, you just took 12 poison.
Oh, I'm still good though, right? Because I have 20 before I die.
Actually, you have 24. Congratulations.
yeah.
They'll talk about it. He was so healthy and lively on his deathbed as he lay choking to death. He seemed so vital.
Oh, Joffrey, how we miss thee.
So, I mean, spoilers, I guess. So,
A little bit.
but that's online Pauper and whatever. So moving on. In May of 2013, in Modern,
Eggs.
they banned Second Sunrise because, yes, eggs.
No, bad. Why?
Why'd they ban it, or why'd they allow it in
Why-
the first place?
Why you do this? So
Because games should
played-
take less than 3 hours to finish.
I played eggs. Okay, I did. I played eggs, and it was fine. The reason it got banned was that Stanislav Sivka won the Pro Tour playing eggs, and then a guy played it in a GP, and Kibler got up in real life F6'd.
He did.
He went to the bathroom.
He said to the judge, hey, is it okay if I go to the bathroom while he goes off? And the judges were like,
It was Ricky
guess.
Hayashi too.
oh,
and he
was it?
like, man, whatever, man. Like,
And yeah, we have found over the years that if you want bannings or you want change to be enacted in Magic, you make it happen to Brian Kibler. And then magically things change. It's very weird.
Or you make it happen on coverage, on camera.
Oh god, was this on camera?
oh yeah,
I'd forgotten that.
they cut away from it for coverage. Had no idea what to do either. They're just like,
I mean, you just
Somebody follow him into the bathroom.
I guess Kibler's stepped away for a minute.
So yeah, they banned that, which made the at the time co-host of Monday Night Magic, Jeremy Schofield, very sad because he was all about some eggs.
But okay, so talking back to the eggs thing, the reason it was bad is because people kept playing Pyrite Spellbomb as their win condition, which means you need to cycle through your deck over and over and over again. If people had just played Banefire, life would have been so much easier.
Yeah.
But no, they wanted to play around that niche card that redirects spells that nobody ever played ever. And they didn't want to play Emrakul because reasons. Sometimes it's not lethal, I guess.
Yeah.
Sometimes in air quotes.
And what it says here is because of the way the deck worked, it was possible for your single turn that eventually won to take 15 or more minutes. And they say, okay, that's fine, but the problem is when you're at a big tournament and the round ends, you get 5 turns. And if one of those turns could take 15 minutes, then that pushes the entire rest of the tournament back by 15 or 20 minutes every single round.
I'll go you one better than that. If you don't go off on turn 1 of extra turns and they don't kill you, you get to do it again the next turn.
So yeah, because of all these reasons, they were like, you know what? We can't do it anymore. We're just going to kill Second Sunrise because that was essentially the one card that made this deck possible.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the only card. It was you had Second Sunrise and the other one.
Faith's Reward.
Faith's Reward. So they left Faith's Reward, but Second Sunrise was cheaper, so it only cost 3.
Yeah.
But still, the deck wasn't really able to survive that.
Well, it's back now. They're playing Faith's Reward and Open the Vaults because Scrap Trawler is a thing.
Yeah.
And I think some of them play Treasure Keeper as well.
Cool.
So we'll see. But that was the reason behind Second Sunrise. And then in Vintage, they unrestricted Regrowth. And it was because it was restricted back in 1994. And things like Yawgmoth's Will and Snapcaster Mage showed up since then. And they were like, well, I guess no one plays Regrowth anymore. So let's unrestrict it and see what happens. After 19 years. And yeah, much like most of these others, it looks like nothing really happened. So then we move to September of 2013, where again we have pauper bannings on Magic Online, which is really weird, where Temporal Fissure and Cloudpost were banned, which, looking back, why weren't those banned before?
Well, Temporal Fissure didn't need to be banned because nobody was playing it because Grape Shot was still legal.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And Empty the Warrens.
Once Empty the Warrens and Grape Shot were banned, we need a new win condition. Oh, well, Temporal Fissure, we'll just bounce everything our opponents control. It'll be great. That's not great, so let's ban that. And then Cloudpost just makes all the mana. Why would she? And Cloud of Fairies, man! Untap things. No. So yeah, let's get rid of that.
Yeah, when Cloud of Fairies finally got banned, spoiler alert, I couldn't believe it was still legal. I was like, what?
I think we both said that. We're like, wait, what?
But Cloud of Fairies is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. So that was all from September 2013 with just the 2 pauper bans. So let's move on to February 2014, where...
Well, hold on.
Wait, what?
This section of bannings and unbannings brought to you by CC Peniston. Finally, printed me. Okay.
Are you done?
So, in February of 2014, Modern saw some things happen. First, they unbanned Wild Nacatl and Bitter Blossom.
Yep, and ever since they have been cards that are legal in the format.
Yeah, and the reason they unbanned Wild Nacatl was because when they banned Wild Nacatl, these zoo decks that were, running rampant over the format vanished.
Yeah, completely.
Like, no more aggro decks popped up at all. And they were like, Whoops. And then they unbanned Bitter Blossom because they were like, well, it was on the day 0 ban list because we were afraid. But looking at Modern since then, I think it'll be fine, right? It should be fine.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, Bitter Blossom is going to rule the world. And then I think there was one Bitter Blossom deck in like the top 30 of the next big event. And everyone went, oh.
And it wasn't fairies, it was black-white tokens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Black White Tokens is still a good Modern deck. Not fantastically amazing, but it's still nice and solid.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was so happy. I went and dug out my casual fairies deck that I never played anymore. And I think there were as many as like 3 Bitter Blossoms in there. And I'm like, oh boy. So I went down to Lucky's. This was when Randy still owned it. And I was basically like, hey, Randy, give me money. And he gave me money. And I was like, yes.
Sick. Oh, you mean around this time?
Yeah, around this. Yeah, when I got unbanned. Because like that weekend, you were seeing people put them up on like a Card Shark and TCG Player and eBay for like $80 or something stupid like that. And I was like, ha ha ha, money.
But that's not all that happened in Modern. They also banned Deathrite Shaman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Because, it's a 1-mana freaking planeswalker.
Yeah, that you can't attack.
Oh, yeah.
So wait, you're telling me that a 1-mana card that legacy decks were literally adding a 4th color just to activate the third ability. You're telling me that's good.
That's what I hear. Yeah, I wouldn't know
Awesome.
myself.
So you're telling me a 1-mana creature that can block 1/1s all day, that gains you life, gives you reach in the late game, and ramps you is a good card?
Yeah, it's a fantastic card.
Turns out all those things on one little 1-mana dude are insane.
And it's a hybrid card. So you can always play it as long as you have a land that comes in untapped.
Huh. Wow. Who knew?
Yeah, who'd have thunk it, right?
It's not like it's free or something. Come on.
But what if it costs 1 less?
And also just the way it works, it makes a lot of strategies and even decks kind of pointless.
The real problem, right, is that if you go turn 1, Swamp, Dark Ritual, Deathrite Shaman, Deathrite Shaman, Deathrite Shaman, it's probably too good.
But Dark Ritual's fine. Let's be clear. So, yeah, Deathrite Shaman is insanely powerful, and they went, oh, hey, guys, this is insanely powerful.
And it's also an elf. Whenever I get reminded of that fact, I'm like, oh my god, who printed this card?
Are you serious? Oh, God, it is.
Yeah, it is an elf shaman.
That's so stupid.
And the biggest problem was that this was enabling turn 2 Liliana of the Veil in Modern, and people were just like, that's really not okay.
Yeah. And like Chris said, the fact that its second ability gave you the long game reach, and the third ability completely nerfed some decks entirely. Oh, you want to? No, you don't. Just get that out of your graveyard. But no, you weren't. I'm going to gain life too. You like this?
Oh, you're playing Reanimator? Deathrite Shaman.
I guess I win. You're like, turn 1, fetch land, sack it, Deathrite Shaman, and you look at your opponent, you go, scoop? And they're like, yup. Because what are they going to do?
Play red.
So, yeah, there you go. This was a big shakeup for Modern because Deathrite Shaman is stupid. Turns out Bitter Blossom and Wild Nicodle were less stupid. Nice. Let's move on to June of 2014, where in Legacy and Vintage, conspiracy cards, the actual cards of the type conspiracy, were just preemptively banned because no.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean I can't play WorldNet in my Legacy deck?
Oh, God.
Oh, man. I would play that deck every week.
Wait, remind the listeners which one's WorldNet.
All of your lands are Painless City of Brasses.
Yep. Seems good.
I mean, yeah.
Do you also have to follow the thing where you have to use your entire card pool?
Okay.
So yeah, moving on. That's it for 2014. Modern got the one big ban, the two big unbannings, and the conspiracy type was knocked out because it's just not what that was meant for.
Yeah.
So just stop it.
Way too silly.
Yeah. So now
I cast Regicide. Well, hey, look, that's colorless, right? So, wait, no.
Wait,
Judge.
Hold on, wait. So then we go to 2015, where January happened, and this was big. I remember this.
Yeah.
So
a lot of stuff.
yeah, in vintage. Let's start with vintage. They restricted Treasure Cruise. I would like to repeat this. They restricted this stupid 8-cost common in vintage. Okay?
You know what? I'm okay with that because, hey, look, it's a card that's actually really powerful and it's a common. So I'm okay with kind of like Wild Nicodle before it. I'm like, that's all right because I know that people probably haven't invested tons and tons of money in it when it gets banned. And hey, look, they still make good commons / broken commons.
When I bumped into Jerry Thompson at, I think it was in Jersey, GP Jersey.
Yeah, because Treasure Cruise is still legal because I was playing that Blue-Red Delver deck.
I asked him, what the hell, man? And he was like, look, it works fine in the two formats that we designed it for, which were standard and limited. So yeah, Treasure Cruise got the axe. It was restricted in vintage, it was banned in legacy, and it was banned in modern. Because pay 1 mana to draw 3 cards, it turns out is really freaking good.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
But it's a sorcery, not like an. I don't even. You can't even target your opponent with it.
I was just about to point that out.
How good can it be?
Good enough to get the Banhammer dropped on it in every way possible. Spoiler alert, in March, it was banned in Pauper too. They're like, we missed one. We're good.
But they did give, he who giveth can also taketh away. We did get gifts ungiven back.
Yeah, they unrestricted gifts ungiven in vintage. Now, why they did that, let's see here. Years ago, it was dominating vintage tournament play. However, not anymore. So let's see if this will kick up some of those decks that don't see as much play anymore. So they unrestricted it. That makes sense. In Legacy, they banned Treasure Cruise, but they unbanned World Gorger Dragon.
So Treasure Cruise was literally busted in vintage. It was slightly less busted in Legacy.
Yeah,
but it was still not fair.
Yeah, it was still completely ridiculous, and we have to get rid of it.
And the World Gorger Dragon combo deck hasn't really set the world on fire or even set a candle alight since it was unbanned. So
yeah, at one point, we talk about this when it was banned in the first place.
Yeah,
on a previous episode, it was this insane World Gorger Dragon in the graveyard, cast Animate Dead, and then get infinite mana and win.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow. With something.
Yeah.
Didn't even matter what. And that's a problem. So they banned it. And then, like Chris said, they unbanned it, and nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of combo decks that were in Legacy and still are today that just do, kind of better stuff and are easier to make work, and they can defend themselves against each other. And whatever deck the World Gorger Dragon would have ended up in, it doesn't have any special edge or advantage over the other decks that already exist.
Yeah. And it says in the announcement here, it's not clear that this is more powerful than animating Grizzlebrand. And this interaction may add an interesting variant. Turns out, nope, Grizzlebrand's better.
Is that card good? Or?
Yeah, I hear it's pretty good. I mean, it was banned in Commander. It's got to be good.
But so that's all the formats that Treasure Cruise was banned in, right?
No.
No? Oh,
No, it got knocked out of Modern too.
Oh, what a shame.
Along
Yeah.
with its partner in crime, Dig Through Time.
Travesty.
Oh yeah?
Dig Through Time was not fine at all. It was disgusting, but I really wanted them to keep it around at least one more cycle because I had this sweet deck that combined Scape Shift and Splinter Twin. Dig Through Time was so important to the deck.
And see, someone found out.
I mean, when your plan C is putting Splinter Twin on Primeval Titan, the deck probably has a few ways to win.
Well, that's plan C.
Yeah, well, plan A is Twin Combo. Plan B is Scape Shift off.
Ah.
And plan C is, well, I guess I have this Primeval Titan I can make a copy of every turn.
Yeah, that seems fine, right?
But yeah, Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise, both banned. Treasure Cruise was basically breaking the format wide open in Blue-Red Delver, just like it was in Legacy, only with fewer answers. And Dig Through Time was almost preemptively banned because people knew that if you ban Treasure Cruise, then Dig Through Time is just going to be everywhere.
It's just going to replace it, yeah.
Yeah.
But there was one more.
But there was one more, and this is one of those things that at the time made me angry. Actually, there were two more. One more banning. This is when they banned Birthing Pod. Straight up, get rid of Birthing Pod. We can't do this anymore.
Literally every creature we print makes this card technically better.
Yeah. And again, I said just a few minutes ago, I love it when they ban a deck, or when they ban a card that pulls a deck back.
Right.
I don't like it when they ban a deck that or ban a card that shoots a deck in the face. Now, it turns out that Podless Pod became a thing and has since morphed into a variety of decks that are still being played right now.
Yeah, Collected Company has taken up the slack, basically.
Yeah. But at the time, this one bothered me. Now, I understand the whole, it limits design space on what we can print in the future. And Siege Rhino was one of the things that led to this ban because the card is just stupid.
Yeah. The thing is, though, for a deck like Birthing Pod, with the way it works, because it's a bunch of toolbox one-ofs, it might not even be possible to make the type of bans where you can just take it down a notch.
Yeah.
Because that hole is instantly going to be refilled by something else in the pool of cards that you have to work with for Modern.
Yeah.
Or else you're going to have this long list of like really idiotic looking bans for no reason, just to try to keep this one deck in check.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of different ways to build the pod decks, and some of them were down to only one or two copies of the combo because just Gavany Township and Value Creatures was fine. And you had Restoration Angel and all that stuff, and the deck was just every time a set came out, something made it better.
Yep.
And that was unavoidable.
I mean, if you look now, since this has been banned, so since January of 2015, if you look at the sets that have been released and see some of the cards that would have been added to Birthing Pod.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. What's your mama?
But, as someone said earlier, Wizards taketh away and Wizards giveth. They unbanned Golgari Grave Troll.
Yeah, that should be fine.
And for a time it was.
Yeah, and they were like, you know what? Let's see if we can get this dredge thing going again. Why not? Because Modern, other than the Treasure Cruise decks, Modern was relatively healthy. They're like, let's see what happens. So they gave back Golgari Grave Troll, and dredge decks were reborn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting things started to happen.
Dredged back, you might say. Reborn.
Yeah. And we didn't have some of the truly ridiculous stuff that used to happen in Standard and Extended because Dread Return still stayed banned.
Yeah. All right, then. So, then we move to March 2015, where, that's where Treasure Cruise was banned in Pauper. And also Skull Clamp was banned in 100 card Singleton, which I'm going to guess was some Magic Online.
Yeah, it's an online format.
Okay. Well, then no one cares. So, moving on.
Aw.
September.
True, but aw.
I mean, it is. September 2015. in Legacy, they went, hey, you remember what Modern did back in January when they went ahead and got rid of Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time? Yeah, we're getting rid of Dig Through Time.
Yeah.
But for this, it was also because, and also with the change they made to Vintage, Dig Through Time was just making, even though it didn't give you as many cards as Treasure Cruise, it would just make a deck way too consistent because you get to look at so many cards at a time.
8 cards is so many.
It's a lot of cards.
Yeah, that is not a small number.
Cards. You know what isn't a small number? 8.
Wait, 7 cards.
Oh yeah, 8's the mana cost. Yeah.
That's still
7
not a
is
small number.
still a lot. Yeah.
And primarily, and it wasn't the volume of cards that you were getting, but like you said, it's the volume of cards you were looking at, which means there were too many combo decks, more than they wanted. So they went, okay, well, let's get rid of this thing that makes all of these combo decks stupidly consistent and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then they did something really weird. They unbanned Black Vise.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Because we said before, in a previous episode, the whole thing of like, oh god, what was it? Turn 1.
Turn 1 Black Vise is just gross.
But no, it's turn 1 Swamp, Dark Ritual, Black Vise, Sinkhole Your Land.
Mm-hmm.
Means you lose. Just so you know, you lose. And yeah, so they've unbanned it. And oddly enough, there have been some decks that run Black Vise that have popped up here and there. It's not a huge part of the meta, but when it shows up, it's really funny. What are those decks called? Is it like eight something? 8 rack? 8?
You're thinking 8 rack, which runs the rack and not Black Vise.
What is it that runs Black Vise then? There's something I've seen.
Is it basically a weird variant on Owling Mine, or
maybe? Or maybe I'm thinking of the
Does
rack decks,
Pox run it?
and I'm just dumb. Oh,
but
maybe.
Pox also wrecks a person's hand,
Yeah,
right?
but Pox makes you discard. I don't know. Maybe I'm making this up, and I'm thinking of 8 rack and with the rack instead of the Vise. In which case, Black Vise just doesn't show up, which means it was fine.
Yeah, I mean it's another one, like regrowth and land tax that we talked about before. It's just one of those things that had been banned forever, and you kind of forget about it, and then you're like, oh well, maybe this card does something.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's fine.
And then look, we have more vintage stuff, where Dig Through Time was restricted there too, for the same reasons as before. And then they also restricted Chalice of the Void, because workshop decks were being decided. Well, workshop decks were winning because they went first.
Yeah, and you could just drop a chalice for, pretty much anything you want on turn 1. X could be 0, 1, or 2. Sometimes even more on turn 1, and your opponent just can't do anything.
Yeah, and they said here, a major problem is that a turn 1 Chalice of the Void for 0 deprives the opponent an opportunity to put Moxen onto the battlefield. While players can adapt by not playing Moxen, the point of the format is to provide a place to play those cards. Chalice of the Void is restricted. And I really like that they understand the point of Vintage is I have these power cards that I can play, and then the Chalice of the Void on 0 goes, well, no, you can't. I'm like, well, screw you then.
That was also one of the main reasons for restricting Trinisphere way back when, right?
Most likely, yeah.
So people could actually play with their cards.
Yeah. And then they unrestricted Thirst for Knowledge because of the lack of the blue-based artifact decks that were destroying the world in 09, which we talked about in the last episode of History of the Banhammer. So
yeah. And it might also been a little bit of, sorry, we restricted your Dig Through Time. Here's some gold.
I have noticed they do tend to, at least some of the time, when they ban something huge, to unban something so that they go, look, we're not all bad. Please don't burn down our anything. So, where was that? That was September 2015. There we go. So now we're closing in on it here. In January of 2016, another modern blam.
Wow.
Yeah, they banned Splinter Twin. So why did they ban Splinter Twin?
Something like all but one of the modern Pro Tours in the history of ever had been won by Splinter Twin.
Yeah. And even though it wasn't impossible to win against the deck, it was extremely prevalent and extremely consistent because you only needed to. The deck wasn't even dependent on the combo. Apart from the combo, it could just win a fair game of Magic really well. But the combo gave it a surprise you're dead angle.
Yeah. And it was...
That made it a bit too strong.
Not only that, but it was... I don't want to say warping the metagame, although it was, but it was warping the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Because it had been part of the modern metagame for forever.
Yeah, and the Splinter Twin player could just play as they wanted, but their opponent had to always play around the combo.
Yeah.
Yep, always.
Because... Like, at the time, I referred to it as you throw in the combo to keep your opponent honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you make sure that your opponent can't just do whatever the hell he wants because he always has to be watching out for the oops, I win Splinter Twin combo. And it turns out that's probably not good.
Yeah, and there were many times where, as part of their strategy, the Splinter Twin player would board the combo out in...
Yeah.
After game one, but their opponent couldn't count on them doing that because, if their opponent guessed wrong, their opponent would just lose. So they had to continue playing around the combo, even if they didn't even know it was going to be there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the final paragraph of this explanation is, in the interest of competitive diversity, Splinter Twin is banned from Modern. And yeah, like Chris said, there was always Splinter Twin all the time in Pro Tour or GP high finishes.
Mm-hmm.
Always. So, let's get rid of that crap. And then this other one.
This was a fun deck. This was the Amulet Bloom deck.
Yeah, where Justin Cohen took a second place finish. And I don't even remember who beat him because...
It was Splinter Twin.
That fits.
Because Blood Moon.
Oh,
yeah, it
I
was
do
Blood
remember
Moon.
that, yeah.
I was visiting my parents' house that weekend. I was sitting on the couch watching the final match on my laptop. My dad was sitting next to me, and he still remembers a little bit about Magic. And he was watching one of those games that, ended a couple turns after a Blood Moon. He was like, why did he just give up? And I was like, well, because he literally can't do anything. It's like, well, he's still got to have a chance. I'm like, no, literally nothing. There's literally nothing he can do right now. All his lands are completely pointless.
It was a hell of a finals, though, just for the record.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it was Amulet of Vigor, Summer Bloom, and Simic Growth Chamber, one of the Karoo lands from Ravnica.
Mm-hmm.
And that meant that you could do insanely stupid things. Amulet of Vigor made it to where your Simic Growth Chamber came in untapped. So you'd play the Growth Chamber untapped, tap it for 2 mana, and then bounce it back to your hand as part of its, what it does. But because you Summer Bloomed, you could then cast it again, tap it for 2 mana, bounce it to your hand.
Yeah.
And then cast it again. Not cast it, drop it again.
And then play a Primeval Titan.
Yeah, on turn 2.
And get lots of other lands that come in untapped.
So, it's not cool.
It was kind of fun to watch. And it didn't go off all the time. So
Sure.
I kind of liked how explosive it could be. But I didn't have to. I wasn't really playing Modern at that point. So
Yeah.
I don't know how fun it was to play against it. Where, again, that's that feeling of like, oh, look, I lost the die roll. And basically, I have a 50-50 shot of end. I'm dead.
Yeah, for me, it was. I felt the same kind of be careful stress that I did when I was playing against Splinter Twin, but it was a lot harder for me to interact with it because 6 toughness is a lot different than 4 toughness.
And then But not only could they go like turn 2 Primeval Titan, but they could also play Hive Mind, and then next turn, and then Summoner's Pact, which means they lose next turn, but you lose the first next turn. So
Yeah.
it was a problem because of and really it was the explosive early mana. If they didn't have the explosive early mana, the deck was fine and perfectly fair in quotes, for Modern.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they banned Summer Bloom, was to keep the insane, 6 or 7 extra mana on turns 2 and 3 from happening. And it turns out that worked because the deck vanished for a long time.
Yeah.
And variations of it have been popping up in, I don't know, the last several months, I guess.
Yeah, with like Azusa and Journey of Discovery sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that deck, it's still very good. It's still capable of some very quick kills. But it did lose a whole bunch of consistency without Summer Bloom.
Yeah. Which it turns out was what it needed. Because after Justin Cohen played it at the at Pro Tour Fate Reforged, it popped up everywhere.
Yeah.
People that weren't as good at playing it as he was.
Yeah, it's not a combo deck for the weak at heart. I know Alex Hayne was quite good with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was...
I remember listener Chris Chris played it for a really long time, and he was one of the ones that tried to keep it going after Summer Bloom got banned.
I wonder how he likes the newer incarnations.
I don't know.
It's a shame he doesn't live nearby anymore. Damn it.
Yeah.
So that's not it, though. This is when Cloud of Fairies was banned in Pauper, which caused Mike and I to go, wait, what? That was still legal? Are you high? So
They just came down, I think, is more of the point.
Get it? So, for those that don't know, Cloud of Fairies is borderline stupid, normally. And in a Pauper format, it is stupid. So, for 1 and a blue, it's a 1/1 fairy with flying and cycling of 2. But it says when it enters the battlefield, untap up to 2 lands. Which means you can make lots of mana by untapping, the Karoo lands from earlier, or you could blink it, or use familiars.
Yeah, or lands that were, islands that had been high-tided,
Yeah. And it just caused too much free mana. And really, we were like, is this... Both of us, are you serious? This is still legal? That's stupid. So, yeah, they got rid of that because it was stupid.
I get the feeling you thought that this might have been stupid, Chewie.
Mike and I were seriously surprised that it wasn't already banned. So then we moved to April of 2016, where more big stuff happened.
Oh,
Yeah. There had been some serious stuff that had gone down in Modern after Splinter Twin got banned.
Well, and after not Battle for Zendikar.
Oath of the Gatewatch came out.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So explain that, Chris. Yeah, what the hell?
It had been a long time before we had a season of card. We had Necro Summer and Combo Winter. And, we'd been going along pretty well. We needed some bannings and stuff, but nothing was utterly dominant. And then Eldrazi happened in Modern. And Eldrazi Winter.
But Chris, Eldrazi already existed in Modern. They were just all really expensive and dumb.
Right. So what happens is when you take a card that says colorless Eldrazi spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, and all of your colorless Eldrazi are 7 or greater, turns out that card is not that good. When some of your Eldrazi cost 2, turns out that card's a little better.
Yeah. And we also have other lands that can make 2 mana for Eldrazi spells.
Oh, that's a factor too, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
then basically you're playing shops in Modern.
The problem was that every single Eldrazi printed in the Battle for Zendikar block was colorless, and therefore was reduced by Ayavugin and allowed your temples to tap for 2 mana. Eldrazi temples, that is. To the point where we had a Pro Tour where I think something like 6 of the top 8 decks were Eldrazi of one flavor or another.
What's the 4/4 for 4 that nabs a card out of their hand when it
Thought not seer.
Thought not seer.
And then there was Reality Smasher and Eldrazi Mimic and Endless One and Endbringer and Eldrazi Obligator and Eldrazi Sky Spawner and Eldrazi Displacer, Drowner of Hope, Doctor Owner of Hope.
I remember, like, right before people had cracked that code, I remember seeing Heartless Summoning powering out some of those big, stupid, colorless guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Heartless Summoning had that drawback of making your dude smaller, right?
Yeah, but if they're huge, then who cares?
Oh, darn, it's a 3/3 for 2 instead of a 4/4 for 4.
Yeah,
is that good?
Well,
is that
but
good?
see, it's even better when you just have the 4/4 for free.
Yeah. Well, Ayavugan's legendary, so you couldn't get it for free, but you could definitely get it on turn 2 by tapping 1 land.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, yeah, in Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch, there were 6 of the Eldrazi Scourge decks in the top 8, including the winning deck that Jiachen Chao was playing.
Yeah.
And
Or the other decks. There was an Affinity deck, and then...
I don't know, let me look.
Not Splinter Twin.
Oh, now
Didn't that Splinter Twin ban happen right before that Pro Tour?
The Splinter Twin ban happened in January, which would have been, right before that Pro Tour, I think.
Yeah, because I remember there was also... People were annoyed about that changes to the modern banned list would happen right before a Pro Tour.
So let's see, there were 2 blue-red Eldrazi decks, 3 colorless Eldrazi decks, Frank Lepore's Processor Eldrazi deck, and then 2 Affinity decks.
Okay.
Or Decepticons.
Mm.
And then also, in March, there were 3 modern GPs. There were 24 players who had top 8 performances, because 8 times 3, top 8 times 3 tournaments is 24. 14 of them were Eldrazi, and 2 of the 3 winners were Eldrazi.
I mean, I wrote an entire article on ways to beat Eldrazi. People were starting to do things like play Painter's Servant because it turned off the mana ramp from Ayavugan and Eldrazi Temple. There was even the podless pod deck was playing Painter's Servant with Taser, Orzhov Scion.
That's horrible.
I'm sorry. Was I laughing really hard?
Once you got 3 creatures, you could just exile anything you wanted repeatedly. And
the format was completely boned. And it all came down to, what are they going to ban? Is it going to be Eldrazi Temple or Ayavugan? Because the land base was the problem.
Yeah.
Like, it was totally the ability to blot out, these hordes of giant creatures and then copy them with the stupid Mimic. Oh my god. And it turns out that the Ayavugan won because it essentially said everything in your deck costs 2 less. And the Eldrazi Temple said, tap this, a thing costs 2 less.
Yeah.
I
think...
chose wisely. Lots of people still say they banned the wrong one. I don't know what those people are smoking.
Well, honestly, I think getting rid of Eldrazi Temple might have killed the deck outright. Because like we were talking about before, you can't have 2 Ayavugans on the battlefield at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Banning Eldrazi Temple might have killed the deck outright. Banning Ayavugan just weakened it. Unfortunately, it had the side effect of causing some pretty significant collateral damage to Tron.
Well, Tron hasn't really felt it because Tron's still a very powerful deck.
Right, but they a lot of them don't look anything like the way they used to.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Emrakul is completely gone. Hasn't been seen in a long time.
The big difference is that Eldrazi Temple doesn't allow you to play 6 different spells in one turn, right?
Yeah,
also that.
Like, I actually saw during the Pro Tour someone go tap Eldrazi Temple, play, what's the one that costs 4?
Thought-Knot Seer.
Thought-Knot Seer. And then Eldrazi Mimic.
Yeah.
What? So now we have 12/12 on this side of the board by tapping land. But no, this is fine. Everything's fine. Dark Ritual's fine. And yeah, the Eldrazi Scourge was, as far as it being a Scourge, it was destroyed. no more of this nonsense.
It's still a real deck.
Yes,
It
it's
is.
just not unbeatable.
But it's no longer a scourge. Yeah, it's just there. But because they took away, they giveth back. They unbanned Ancestral Vision and Sword of the Meek, which I'd completely forgotten that Ancestral Vision had been unbanned.
Yeah, and it's actually a card that shows up in decks. Sword of the Meek is a lot more fringe.
I think the modern Storm decks run Vision, right? Do they, or am I making that up? I can't remember.
I don't know. I know I played against some control decks that do.
Ooh, like just playing it honest?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
On turn 1 or turn 2 they'll suspend an Ancestral Vision, and then they just play the normal step 1 don't lose, step 2 win that a control deck is.
That is every control deck ever. Yeah, well done.
And when later in the game when those 3 cards pop into their hand, whew, that's tough to get over.
Yeah. And then, Sword of the Meek has only seen very fringe play. But it's there if people want to play it, so hey, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in Vintage, Workshop decks were still owning the world, and it was terrible. So they went and restricted Lodestone Golem.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lodestone Golem was one of the major weapons that the Workshop decks had.
Yeah, to lock the opponent out.
Yeah. So
they still have the other, stacks pieces like Thorn of Amethyst and whatnot. But Thorn of Amethyst doesn't have 5 power, so.
Yeah, Thorn of Amethyst can't kill you in a couple turns by itself.
Mm-hmm. This is also another thing where they just wanted to take a deck down a notch instead of getting rid of it completely.
Yeah, because Workshop decks have been part of Vintage forever and still are.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they're still a major force in Vintage.
Mm-hmm.
Still.
Yeah, like Mishra's Workshop is one of the single most powerful, ridiculous cards that's still unrestricted in Vintage.
Yeah.
Because it makes for a deck. Bazaar of Baghdad, I would say, is one of the other ones.
That makes sense.
And they make entire decks work.
Yeah, they make entire decks possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, moving on, we go to November of last year, 2016, where in Pauper, the Peregrine Drake was banned.
And it had first shown up in Pauper because it showed up. Was it because it showed up in online Vintage Masters?
I don't remember.
Or was it because it showed up in Eternal Masters that was also released online? One of those things.
It was a common in Eternal Masters, yeah.
Okay,
'Cause
yeah.
up until then, it was an uncommon.
Right, it had only been printed uncommon.
Yeah. It was uncommon in Urza Saga, and then common in Eternal Masters. Now, this is another of the untap lands but this one says untap 5 lands.
Mm-hmm. And I remember reading online that it seemed like a lot of people were expecting it to have been banned in an earlier banned list update cycle, and then it wasn't. And they were like, what?
Yeah, it says...
But then it finally came around again.
R&D, before Kaladesh, R&D looked into whether to ban Peregrine Drake. At the time, the Is It Drake deck had been about 11% of the competitive metagame over the previous month, and they were like, it's fine. And when it didn't get banned, it took off until they had to ban it. And I'm wondering if it wasn't more because people were expecting it to get banned.
That's possible.
And when it didn't, they were like, woo, go, go, go. So, yep, no more of that nonsense in Pauper. So then, we get to this year. Hey, look, we're current here. And this year is the reason that we decided to do this series. Because, now, we've said a lot about Modern and Legacy and Vintage, right?
Right.
And we mentioned Standard at the very beginning in 2011.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And before that, it had been 2006 since the last time we had to. No, not 2006.
No,
2005 since the last time
yeah.
we'd had to talk about Standard.
So yeah, in 05 to when? 2011?
11.
Yeah, so nice little 6-year gap there. And so, hey, 6-year gap. Oh. Oh.
I see what you did there.
Huh.
So I'll see you guys back in 2023.
Did anything stupid happen in 1999? Let's see here.
Well, yeah, there was lots of stupid stuff happening
There's,
in 99.
oh my God, Dreamhall's Earthcraft fluctuated lotus pedal.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a 6-year sunspot cycle for horrible standard bannings.
It
Okay.
looks like it, yeah. Well, then there was 04 with Skull Clamp, but that was a mistake.
Oh, and 6 years before 1999 was 1993,
When,
when all the broken cards were first printed.
yeah, we'll go with that. So yeah, in 2017, in January, there were standard bannings. And I'm sure you guys remember this. They banned Emrakul the Promised End, Smuggler's Copter, and Reflector Mage.
Yep.
And
I'm okay with all of those, which I think is what I said at the time.
yeah, Emrakul, they said that they've pretty much admitted since then that they made Emrakul too good because it was a story-centric card and they wanted it to be a thing that people saw.
Yeah.
So
it was
they
going to
made
be
it, as Brian likes to say, they pushed it.
Yeah, it was a marquee card for the set, and not only, did they want to use it for promotions, but they also knew that it being Eldrazi and it being previously this giant card that sees play in Eternal formats would have a giant impact on how people perceived it. So let's make sure that it's definitely worth remembering, worth seeing in this format as well. Make sure it's really good. And they succeeded. It was a very powerful, big effect.
To the point where everyone hated it.
Yes, you would talk about getting Emrakul. I actually got Emrakul a couple times at one tournament. Yay!
But, when there were questions about what's wrong with Standard, because it was clear that Standard was a problem.
Yeah.
And you would see all the pro players saying, "Oh God, it's frickin' Emrakul again," and it became clear that Emrakul was just so good and so brutally overpowered that it was just miserable to play against.
Yeah, even the decks that didn't cast Emrakul off an Aetherworks Marvel were still ridiculously powerful, like the green-black Delirium decks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wait, did Aetherworks Marvel exist at this point?
Yeah.
A little bit, but not nearly to the same extent.
It was in the same set as Smuggler's Copter, so it definitely existed.
Oh, it existed, but as a successful deck type, I think is what she was getting.
Yeah, I remember more of the vomit cards into the graveyard so that Emrakul is cheap decks than I do the Marvel decks.
Yes.
The tournament
were not nearly as prevalent.
The tournament that really got it banned, I played in, and I played Emrakul in a Marvel deck in that tournament. It was the SCG Invitational. And yeah, Marvel Emrakul decks were everywhere. The only deck that was really good against it was Blue-White Flash, and oh, hey, look, we're going to ban 2 cards from that deck as well.
Yeah.
Shh, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, we're there. We're just...
So, yeah, Emrakul was banned because Emrakul was just brutal. She was extremely hard to deal with. And, yeah.
And was showing up as the major win conditions in decks that really didn't have anything else in common.
Yeah. Like Chris said, there was the Aetherworks Marvel deck, which I honestly don't even remember. And there were all of the Delirium decks that... Hang on. Cost 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard. The cost is 13. What's the cheapest you could get this down to?
5.
Which mean, 5?
Yeah.
In standard?
Oh, in standard? No. 7, I think, in standard.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds... Because you're missing, what, Tribal and...
Oh, no, technically 6. You're only missing Tribal.
Okay, yeah, that was it. So technically 6, but 7 is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And with all of the, throw self-mill cards that, make Mike giddy and wet himself.
Yay!
Yeah, 6 or 7 cost Emrakul was not only feasible, but doable.
Yeah.
Without being a problem. And for a 13/13 that eats your opponent's next turn and has a hard time dying, okay, that's a problem. So that's why they got rid of that. They also got rid of Smuggler's Copter. And I compared that to Skull Clamp when it happened.
Or Umezawa's Jitty.
Or, yeah, because it was a brand new card type or subtype of artifacts vehicle instead of equipment that they really wanted to make good so that people would realize that, hey, vehicles are awesome. And they did, and it was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, that's the danger with any new, completely brand new card type. If you try to make one really good, you might overshoot and screw everything up.
Yeah, and I said to anyone that would listen after the pre-release, I was like, if this card does not wreck standard, then something is wrong. And hey, look, it wrecked standard.
Because didn't you get one at the pre-release?
Yeah, and it single-handedly won me like half my freaking games because it's stupid.
Yeah, I remember you talking to us afterwards. Like, oh, it's like, man, this card is insane. It's like, yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? It's like, no, it is actually unfair.
No, listen to me. So, does your deck have any creatures at all? Oh, it does. Does your deck run lands? Oh, it does. Play Smuggler's Copter.
Basically.
And it's too good. For 2 mana and tap any creature, it's a 3/3 flyer that draws a card and throws something in the graveyard. You know, for decks that want to throw cards in the graveyard. And then
Do those decks exist? Or?
Yeah, it turns out they do.
Does anyone other than Mike play them?
Yeah, it turns out they do. Yes, Mike is the single-handed reason that Emrakul was banned. Way to go, Mike. Dick.
I think this might have been, I can't remember if this was a period of time when I can't remember what was legal. No, never mind. I wasn't still playing Hedron Alignment.
So yeah, Smuggler's Copter it's just too good. It's so good. Like, sorcery speed removal is completely shut off. Because you just Smuggler's Copter. Meh. And so my theory is they had to ban this third card, and I think I read this somewhere else. They banned Reflector Mage as well, and people hate Reflector Mage
With a passion.
Yeah.
Undying.
Because it's such an asshole. But also, if they got rid of Smuggler's Copter and Emrakul, then Blue-White Flash would have owned the entire universe.
Yes. I mean, it was already a good deck. You take away these other cards and like Emrakul, and all of a sudden it's, dear Lord, it's too good.
Now, something we haven't mentioned. Not only was this current standard not good, but the previous 2, I think, iterations of standard had also been somewhat miserable.
Yeah.
The Collected Company decks in standard were just, with Reflector Mage especially, were just terrible.
Completely obnoxious.
And they were all over the metagame. And it wasn't like Callblade levels of awful, although some people claimed it was. It wasn't.
If the deck wasn't so difficult to play correctly, it would have been that oppressive.
Ooh. But as someone who has to read off the deck results every single week, or the tournament results every single week, it was bad, but it wasn't like everything. But it was bad. Like, it was at this point, right before this ban happened, that we weren't reading deck names anymore on Monday Night Magic. We had come up with sound effects. Because there were only 3. There was Flash. It was just there was the air for Mardu vehicles, and I don't remember what the sound for the Delirium decks was. But there was a sound for it. Because it was just the same 3 decks. And Collected Company, before that.
Collector's Company.
Yeah, the Collector's Company. The Collected Company before that was just as bad. And they didn't do anything about it, and people complained, and everyone's like, standard sucks, standard sucks, standard sucks. And then finally they said standard sucks so much that Wizards went, hey, maybe standard sucks.
What was your first clue, Wizards?
And I mean, I'm talking like a solid year of people complaining about standard. And then it just got worse and worse and worse until they made this fairly drastic change to ban Emrakul, the Copter, and the Reflector Mage.
Mm-hmm.
And this seemed like a good idea. I still think it was. What do you guys with us? You guys with me on that?
I think so.
They had to do something. There's an argument that says that they waited 6 months too long to stop banning cards in Standard again.
Yeah.
But as a good friend of mine would say, time is linear.
Is it?
So, and not if you're a Whovian, but
Oh, okay.
you had to do something. People were flocking away in droves. Readership on articles that spoke about Standard was way down. And it was just, it just was the flagship.
You weren't actually learning anything new when you read them.
Well, I mean, even the brewers, people were just like, yeah, there's no point brewing in this format because it's not possible to build to beat all three of the decks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, as a brewer, that hit you right in the feels.
I mean, I tried multiple times, and every now and then you'd get lucky and hit something that beat two of them. And if you didn't face the third one, then it'd be like, sweet, I have a real deck. Oh dear. Oh, no. No, don't do that.
Yeah. So, that's not it, though. Not only did we get standard bannings for the first time in 6 years, but we got modern bannings, where poor
For the first time in a year, yeah.
Had it been a year?
Yeah, just a year.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because of the eye. So less than a year. But yeah, so they banned Golgari Grave Troll again. Poor dude.
Gave him a shot.
But it's because other cards were printed that made the Dredge deck too good. Most
Yeah, it was
notably the Cathartic Reunion, which
was really cathartic reunion.
yeah, as someone who doesn't play Modern and who has never considered playing Dredge, I read Cathartic Reunion and went, whew, I bet Dredge decks are going to start playing red because the card is stupid in that deck.
Well, they were anyway because Faithless Looting, right? But
Oh, right.
I still think that this was the wrong choice to ban them. They should have banned Cathartic Reunion because Dredge is still really good.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. So yeah, Cathartic Reunion and Prized Amalgam, which was just another thing to be in the graveyard to jump out of the graveyard and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which goodness knows the Dredge deck needed? ? So yeah, they got rid of the Golgari Grave Troll, and all the naysayers were like, "This deck is dead now," blah. And then everyone sided in Golgari or switched in Golgari Thug 1-1 for the Golgari Grave Troll, and the deck didn't change. Other than that, it's like, oh, okay, well, Dredge 6, what's on the Thug? 5?
4.
4. But hey, it also does this other thing, so let's just get it. And boom, deck is still there. Deck is still good. Like, real good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not like stupid good, but good.
People over sideboard against it too, so you end up with people keeping hands with 2 pieces of graveyard hate and no actual threats, and then you just lose to being hit by insolent neonates.
So insolent.
And then they also banned Gitaxian Probe, because, duh.
I mean, I like Gitaxian Probe, and I used it in my Jeskai Ascension deck because it was basically free to play and drew me a card and let me know when it was safe to go off. And these are also all the reasons that it got banned.
I was like, that's exactly why it was banned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically any deck that wanted to churn through its deck played 4 of these, even if it wasn't blue. It was in every Death Shadow deck.
Yep.
Which were basically 48 card decks at that point.
Every Infect deck.
Every Infect deck.
Every Storm deck.
Yeah.
Oh, look, the shields are down. Guess I just win now.
Yeah, and all of those decks are still around. But they're slightly more fair now because Gitaxian Probe just ain't right. When an Infect deck goes Gitaxian Probe just so they can see if it's safe to win right now or if they have to wait a minute to win. Like, For free, mind you. Let's not forget that part.
Yeah. That's the key right there.
Yeah. That's a problem. So they got rid of that. And Clues did a little dance because I think Clues has always hated the G-Probe. Yeah. So all right. That's January of this year. Clearly we're done with standard bannings, right?
They fixed it. Yay.
Yeah, they banned 3 big cards and they fixed it, right? Well, in April, they banned Felidar Guardian.
Well, kind of.
Kind of.
I mean, they definitely did ban it.
I forgot that they didn't ban Felidar Guardian. So in the actual banned and restricted announcement, they banned Sensei's Divining Top in Legacy after all these years, and after the actual year of the Miracles deck running rampant over Legacy, they finally banned it. There was a year, roughly, of Miracles just being horrible, just everywhere in Legacy, and they're like, it'll be fine. It's fine. It's like Dark Ritual, it's fine. And then eventually they were like, maybe it's not fine, but Miracles wasn't even a huge problem anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this is maybe it had just been a deck for too long, kind of like Splinter Twin. It had just been a deck for too long, and it was affecting the format itself. It was the only control deck in the format, and it was really, really good.
There was the 4-color pile, the check pile that. Control in Legacy is such a movable feast. It was the only heavy control counterspell deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But it's So what it says is Miracles has been the best deck in the format for some time. We were hopeful that this would change over time, but it has not. And then they cited Sensei's Divining Top as being a problem for, tournaments or matches finishing in a timely manner and all that, which is why it was banned in Modern so insanely long ago. Wasn't it on the Day Zero list?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
I thought it was. You think we just talked about that 2 hours ago, we'd remember.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Because counterbalance.
And so, yeah, they finally banned it. And in this case, Clues did dance. I think Clues might occasionally still dance because the top was banned in Modern. #Stop the Top. And it was a very emotional episode of Monday Night Magic that week.
I could only imagine.
I think I remember that, yeah.
I mean, there were decks starting to play that card that you would never have assumed would have any right playing it.
My personal favorite was when it showed up in a burn deck.
Yeah.
And Clues was like, what are you doing? That's the dark side.
Imperial Painter was playing it. I believe some Food Chain and Storm decks were playing it. It's just stop. Now we just need to get it banned in EDH and life will be complete.
Yes, along with Soul Ring.
Yeah.
So then, that was Legacy. In Vintage, they restricted Gitaxian Probe for much of the same reasons as they did in other formats.
Mm-hmm. It's still legal in Legacy.
Right. But, they said mainly because of the Monastery Mentor decks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which Monastery Mentor is stupid, and it was giving it too much of an edge against Workshop decks.
Mm-hmm.
So they can dig through the library, make dudes, and look and see, is it safe? It is safe. Let's go. Yeah.
And Gush,
Yeah. They restricted Gush because, we talked about Gush in a previous.
And then everything was fine and hunky-dory and not a single Magic player complained and all the formats were healthy at the end.
The end.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? 2 days after the ban restricted list announcement, when nothing was banned in Standard, including Felidar Guardian, which made everyone go, wow, they didn't ban Felidar Guardian. Now, Felidar Guardian was part of a 2-card infinite combo in Standard that R&D missed.
Yeah.
In Standard, I mean, you can't say that this was because they weren't testing due to the different Standard rotation. These were literally cards in the same block.
One in Kaladesh, one in Netherrealm.
Yep. And Felidar Guardian wasn't even previewed. It was in the and here's everything else. Within 10 minutes of here's everything else, I was on a drive, one of the longer drives, because that's what I do, I drive. And I got a message from AJ. Not Kill AJ, other AJ. And it was a picture. And someone had already made a graphic of Saheeli and Felidar Guardian next to each other. and it just made the rounds. And I'm like, what? And again, I was driving, going down the highway doing like 75. And I look at this and I'm like, when is the battlefield exile another? I don't get it. And then I read Saheeli and I went, again, this is within 10 minutes of the full set being revealed.
I was actually, it was revealed when I was at GP Louisville, and I got a message from a judge friend saying, go buy every Saheeli Rai you can find on the floor. And I was like, why? And he showed me the card, and I instantly went, I'm going on break.
Now, mind you, Saheeli Rai was, as far as Planeswalkers goes, worthless.
Yeah.
Yep.
Monetarily speaking, again, as far as Planeswalkers go, she was what?
$8.
Yeah, like $6, $8, something like that, which is nothing for a standard legal Planeswalker. It's just nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, within hours...
I didn't even know she was that much. Maybe just like 4 or 5.
That's more what I was thinking. Within hours, she had, like, quadrupled in price. Because there's a 2-card infinite combo, and you're not going to make any money off of Felidar Guardian because it's a stupid common. Uncommon, excuse me. So, yeah. And Wizards admitted later, yeah, we just didn't see that, which I think that was a mistake. They should never have said that, ever. They should have lied to us. This is the only time I will ever say someone should have lied to the public. They should have lied to the public and said, yeah, we know, but we didn't think it would be that bad.
Yeah, we wanted to see if it was okay to have a combo deck like this in Standard.
Yeah. But instead, they said, yeah, we completely missed this. And it made everyone go, what are they doing over there? I ask again, what are you, high? So it shook some of the faith in R&D, which was very dangerous at this point.
Yeah, with everything else that had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, the timing on this was abysmal.
Yeah.
And I can't remember whether this was something that came up in any of their explanations, but I kind of wonder whether Felidar Guardian always had the word permanent instead of something else.
Yeah. If it didn't say permanent, then it would be fine.
Like if it said creature or artifact.
Yeah.
Like either of those, if it had the words creature or artifact. Yeah.
Completely different ballgame.
Yeah, because it was the fact that Felidar Guardian could blink Saheeli herself that caused the problem.
Right.
So even if it just said, creature, artifact, or land, like so many of the other blinky things do, it would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 2 days after the Banner Restricted List update came out, and mind you, the 4-color Crazy Cat Lady deck was totally a thing, and had been.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like it was running rampant over Standard. It was just another deck. But apparently, looking only at like the top 32 of any given tournament and then looking at total attendance are two totally different things. Because on Monday Night Magic, we read, the top 8 for sure, top 16 for most of them. Sometimes we'll venture past that if there's something neat. But apparently the Crazy Cat Lady deck was much bigger than we were seeing just looking at the top. She was always there, But 2 days after the Banner Restricted announcement happened and there was no Felidar Guardian on it, they went, sorry, well, it's banned.
And they cited... people went, what? They cited the data from Magic Online because this was the earliest a set had ever released on Magic Online, right?
Yeah, it was the first time. Actually, a first time a set had released on Magic Online before it released in paper, right?
Right. And what they found was, look at all these cues. Wait, why is this deck here too? Really, is it winning? Oh my God, somebody quick, kill it with fire.
Yeah, now 2 days of Magic Online data, it turns out, is something like many GPs worth of data.
Yes. Oh yeah, think about everybody that plays online. Think about everybody that has been playing online. Think about how many games of Magic Online have resolved while we've been recording this podcast. It's not a small number.
You're missing one very important factor with this banning.
It's
that on Twitter, Brian Kibler said he wasn't going to the Pro Tour unless Felidar Guardian was banned.
Which, as we keep saying, if you want change to happen, you have it affect Brian Kibler.
Did he actually do that?
He did say he didn't carry through because he didn't go to the Pro Tour anyway.
Yeah,
Oh.
but as someone who occasionally always watches his YouTube videos, he actually said he had no plans of going anyway. So I'm not sure why he said that.
Well, he was. I mean, if you take it this way, there is a 0% chance that I'm going if this isn't banned. Okay, we banned it. Okay, so it's not a 0% chance that I'm not going, or that I'm going, but it's like a 10% chance that I'm going. He fixed the format for us, guys. He fixed it for us in his name. Hallelujah.
Oh my God! So
Blessings be heaped upon him.
Yeah.
maybe. So what they found was that the Saheeli combo was approximately 40% of the 5-0 and 4-1 deck lists.
Dear Lord.
Which,
I forgot it was that bad.
yeah, that doesn't sound like much. But not only is that much, but that was up from before Amonkhet came out. So
Yeah.
a new set came out adding all these new cards to deal with the crazy cat lady combo, and it got worse. Whoops.
You done goofed.
So they issued an addendum and banned it 2 days later.
Retroactive.
Well, not really retroactive because the ban hadn't
Sure.
gone through yet, but yeah, this
So-
is still
Well, it retroactively became part of the earlier announcement.
right.
Sorry we messed up our bannings. Here's some go. Wait.
Yeah, there's just no. And this is only the second time that this sort of thing happened. The first one was the memory jar, which I think we sort of messed up the details on, but I think we fixed that in the second episode. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, they issued an out of sequence ban. Whoops, sorry, this is banned now, my bad. But it wasn't like they were like, after 1 week, ban it. No, it was fine. So yeah, there was that. So now we're done, right? Well, let's
Dear
see.
Lord, that's enough. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 2 bannings in standard in the course of a year.
Right? And that's insane. So,
That is insane in the membrane.
So we're recording this, by the way, on July 27th, dear listeners. But that leaves only one more banner restricted list update prior to this date, and that is in June of 2017, where, oh dear God, it's standard again. Are you serious? And it's because they had to ban Aetherworks Marvel. Because the Aetherworks Marvel deck was kind of stupid.
Yeah. And they had to ban Marvel, because if you banned any of the things that Marvel got, like Ulamog, that Marvel empowered, much like Birthing Pod, it would just replace that with something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then after Ulamog, what are you going to ban? Are you really going to ban Kozilek? Really? Are you really going to stoop that low?
poor Kozilek.
We'll see
He's
right
like,
after.
hey, I'm worth banning.
You can ban me. Shut up. I'm just as good. Shut up. My mom thinks I'm good. But like, not long after this ban happened, Hour of Devastation came out, and the new Nicol Bolas was in that set, and we were like, "Oh, dude, they banned
Yeah.
Aetherworks Marvel. Thank God."
That would have been a small problem.
But like, okay, so Frank Karsten, God bless him, Frank Karsten. I'm from the South, so you can tell I'm about to talk smack about someone when I say God bless. But Frank Karsten said that a turn 4 Ulamog using Aetherworks Marvel, he calculated this, only happens
hmm
in 9.4% of the games.
That's too much.
So it only, and he was saying that like it's not a big deal. He's like, you only get a free win like 10% of the time.
And that's a turn 4. How many times is it happening on turns 5 and 6?
Well, I'm sure the number goes up significantly. But is only like you get a free win only 10% of the time. That's awful.
You know, thinking about that and like the other things, the other figures he threw out about that weekend, because he was working coverage that weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, I mean, I wonder if it's more like, he's saying it with a smile on his face, but his eyes are like blinking a distress signal in Morse code while he's talking.
He's like, his eyes are like, send help. They won't let me leave.
Yeah, I mean, he's out there on Wizard's dime doing coverage for them. So he can't just be like, guys, this is horrible. We need to abandon ship like right now. He can't actually write that and publish it on their website. So yeah, he's throwing all these numbers out there to make it clear through the numbers how ridiculous this is in a bad way.
Yeah, I just love that. Like what he said earlier is that that the Aetherworks decks weren't. I can't find the quote. Somewhere in here, he's like, "It's not the powerhouse that it used to be," or something like that. Like, did you not read what else you wrote? So
he's a smart guy, and he's smart enough that I'm convinced that he just couldn't be completely open and honest about what he wanted to communicate.
That is a good point. And I know that there was a Cardboard Crack comic about this that left some judges on this podcast currently a little messed up because it was something to the effect of players sure do like rolling some dice to see if they win. It's like, okay, I'm activating Aetherworks Marvel, which is essentially rolling dice. Look at the top 6 cards. Do I win? I win! And I noticed Chris being very about that. Which is fine. So,
Marvel just wasn't fun for... Like, I even winning with Marvel didn't feel fun. I kind of wished that they had banned Ulamog, because I really wanted to play a deck that spun Aetherworks Marvel into Deploy the Gatewatch.
I bet it felt better than losing with it, but yeah.
But, like, as long as you can cast Emrakul, why aren't you, basically?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem with that sort of thing, is kind of like it crowds out everything else.
Yeah, so we now had the 3rd round of standard banning in a year in an effort to, oh dear God, please make standard good again. Now, they said, okay, we understand that you're having some ban fatigue. Tell you what, there will not be another ban restricted announcement until after the Pro Tour. The Pro Tour is happening actually it's going on right now.
It's already started, yeah.
Which means, I don't remember, did I close it? Oh crap, I closed it. Hang on. I don't remember if this is going to be...
And they said that...
Oh, go ahead.
Wasn't part of the reason they said that was because not too long... Wasn't like after the Felidar Guardian banning, they said, okay, we're gonna give ourselves some additional opportunities in the schedule to ban cards in case we need to. Isn't that one of the things they said?
That was... When did they say that? When was that?
I remember them saying that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I just don't remember when that was. I think... Was that in the...
I know it wasn't part of the Aetherworks Marvel announcement, because part of them saying, okay, we're going to hold off until after the Pro Tour was to reassure people that they weren't planning on using all of those extra slots that they had given themselves. They were just going to say, okay, you know what? Never mind. We're just going to leave things alone. We think we finally got it now.
Okay, that was after the January ban.
Okay,
that was the January announcement. They said... BNR announcements will now be made both on the Monday after the standard legal set pre-release, when it always had been, and 5 weeks after a Pro Tour.
Okay.
So yeah, now we have twice as many options to take a look. They were thinking they have twice as many options to take a look, see how healthy things are. And then after each of these big bannings, people were like, well, there goes standard, because after the Pro Tour, they're going to ban something else. And they never did. They haven't taken advantage of that second banning window yet, but they said because of all of these standard bannings, we're actually going to pause, and there will not be another announcement until August 28th, the 5 weeks after the Pro Tour one. So, yeah.
Reasons and stuff.
Yeah. And hopefully nothing at this Pro Tour will cause the world to explode and cause something else to be banned, because... I don't know if Standard can handle another banning. Standard players are not happy.
But some of them are, though, because the format is actually playable now, you know?
Well, okay. Standard players haven't been happy for a very long time.
Okay, I
mean,
can go for
like
that.
a couple years because the format has been bad. But then when they ban things to try to fix it because it's Magic players, they complain about the bans. Well, now this card's worthless.
Well, you know what, Standard players? Y'all mother lovers need Force Jesus.
You've been waiting the whole episode to work that in.
I told you I would get there.
But yeah, they so now like Standard players like the format is playable and the format is, to my knowledge, it's healthy. The last we're only in like the third week of a new standard. Third week of a new standard, and it's a pro tour, which means the previous 2 weeks only sort of counted.
Yep. Ask me tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully everything will be fine.
I kind of hope somebody has broken it with a weird deck that is very powerful for one tournament.
I love those decks.
Those are really cool to watch.
The first time I saw the Eldrazi deck in Modern, I was like, that's really cool. I actually really appreciate it. And then
so did everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there was that Just Guy Ascendancy combo deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was panicking, like, oh my God, we're going to have to ban this. It's crazy. And now nobody plays it at all. Nothing was banned from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Or that
G-Probe
that crazy scissors deck. I can't remember the name of
Oh,
that.
yeah.
God, the crazy scissors deck.
Oh, jeez.
But he
The
said
one that turned an artifact into a 5/5.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of it either.
It was like amazing for that one pro tour and like no other event ever.
You broke Chewy.
Oh, God, because I remember it, and it was really funny.
This is going to bug me now because I can't
It's
remember the
killing
name
me.
of that code.
Anime artifact?
No.
No.
Okay, wait, if you go Scissors Deck, MTG, and Soul Artifact.
No,
There we go.
that wasn't it.
No.
It was in Soul Artifact.
I just said that.
Wait, no, in Soul Artifact.
I hate you all.
Wait, no. Brian's sister's hot.
Yes,
That's right.
totally.
So I'm told.
Oh, it's true. I wouldn't lie to you about something so important, Brian. So,
Good to know you have your priorities straight.
thank you. So that's where we are right now. We've now hit the current age. Hopefully, we won't have to do another episode.
Oh,
I guess in
man.
6 years we'll do another one and knock out History of the Banhammer Part 4. But
Yeah, in 6 years we'll be due for another ridiculous standard.
would you call it
Probably
a
because we're on an artifact plane.
standard sunspot cycle? That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can we take from this? We've started at the very beginning and worked our way all the way to now with the current standard god-awful mess that has hopefully been fixed. What do we take from this? Why is there a ban and restricted list, and why do they keep banning and unbanning and restricting and unrestricting things from them in all these formats?
I think it's one of the fundamental things about the way that Magic works, and I compare it mostly to Hearthstone. And Hearthstone, until recently, had not been banning a whole lot of cards. What they were able to do is change the way the cards work through errata, basically. Where, what was that? The hasty guy that gave all your stuff haste, and that was dumb and made for some broken stuff, so they changed it.
Oh yeah, Warsong Commander.
Yeah.
Magic can't do that. Magic can issue errata, but we don't see them issue errata a whole lot anymore for power reasons. In fact, they stopped doing it for power reasons because you need to be able to look at the card and say the card does what the card says it does. It's not worth the player. It's not worth making sure this one card stays viable when there are a multitude, hundreds of other cards to choose from. So I think the banning and restricting is pretty much the only way they really have once the sets are released to maintain the health or attempt to maintain the health of a format. Standard has been difficult, like Chewy said, for the last couple of years because they've they've been printing some very strong cards. Look at Siege Rhino, look at Collected Company. These are powerful cards, and they want to be able to print powerful cards. But the problem is that people figure out the best decks in the format and only run those best cards, and that's frustrating for deck builders like Mr. Lansdell, who are trying to produce original content, and players that are trying to not play against the same deck every tournament. And after a while, it gets frustrating for Wizards, because why would I buy from the new set when I already have the best cards in the format? So I think that's why they do it. It's just to maintain the health of these various formats. Well, whether or not they are successful is a separate question.
You also have to look at how they get there, right? Why they ban cards is all well and good, but why are cards ban-worthy in the first place? There's a couple of answers to that. The first is that up until recently, they did not play test Modern and Legacy at all.
At all, and they even said that.
But they do keep it in mind when they're designing cards. So it's almost inevitable that at some point they're going to miss some interaction and print a disgustingly powerful card in Modern and Vintage. Hello, Treasure Cruise. We're talking about you.
Yeah.
But also, they keep pushing the envelope, and we want that. We want them to keep trying to be different and innovate and make new and powerful and unique effects. The problem with them is they need to be so much tested so heavily because there's 20 people in R&D and there's 20,000 people trying to break it the day it's revealed.
Yeah, or before. Well,
kind of like how we mentioned earlier, an hour's worth of Magic Online is going to produce way more real-life playtesting time than the R&D team might have been able to do, period.
I mean, I look
stuff out.
I look at sets with friends of mine and other brewers, and we are basically miniature gatherers because we have so many cards tucked away in our heads that we saw a year and a half ago or 6 years ago and thought, oh, well, if only there was a card that did X, this would be a combo with it. And then they go and print it. Chewy, I'm pretty sure I messaged you the instant I saw the card Solemnity.
You did?
And I was just like, so this is broken 11 ways from Sunday. And then I wrote an entire article, almost 3,000 words, on all the different nonsense you can get up to with Solemnity. And I missed stuff.
Well, of course, because it's Solemnity. So,
yeah, that card's silly. But I think that's why they push the envelope. They keep innovating. We want them to do that. And I think as collateral damage, we have to accept that sometimes something is going to get missed and it has to be banned.
Yeah. I think it's frustrating because for some players, because especially, if you invested money in Saheeli's once they went up, your investment is certainly not returned if you were not able to get rid of them, because technically the Felidar Sovereign was the one that was banned, but your Saheeli is not doing anything without that. Your Marvel, the Marvel's a mythic card, right? So, and isn't it? It's at least a rare. Emrakul is definitely mythic.
Yeah, it's mythic.
So, yeah.
And even, I'm guessing Ulamog's value has dropped since the Aetherworks Marvel was banned, because you're not doing anything with that in Standard anymore.
Well, except Hour of Promise just got printed, and it goes and gets 2 of the Shrine of the Forsaken Gods so that you can cast Ulamog next turn.
Okay, Brewer Boy.
So...
This is why they pay me the small bucks.
So it's this fine line. You want to print exciting cards, like Chris said. You want to push the boundaries. I mean, nobody cares a whole lot except for some of the number crunchers when they release something that is just solid with numbers but doesn't really do anything exciting. But when they print the new Mindslaver, people are like, holy crap, that's awesome. So you want them to do that. But at the same time, you don't want them to be irresponsible with it, and it can be a difficult thing to really find that perfect balance. And they're human. Yeah. They put a lot. This is their job, but no one is perfect. So.
You're so right. Like the cards that excite me are things like the Gitrog Monster and Ramanap Excavator, and cards that do things that we haven't had before or that we haven't had in a long time.
Yeah,
I mean, sure, like. Yay, we have a 4/3 for 3 that stops your creature spells from being countered. Whoop-de-doo.
Woohoo.
Slap my buttocks and call me Susie. Like, I don't care.
Listen to Susie over here.
There was half of that instruction was missing, and I'm quite disappointed.
Well, you're in Canada, so
Yeah, or like, one of the things that got me back into building a standard deck for the first time in a while was, hedron alignment of all things.
Yes. So cool. You might like my green-black rock deck, though, Mike. It does seem right up your alley. It puts things in the graveyard for fun and profit.
Word.
It has it has demons in it.
Oh God!
Wow. Okay. All right. You had them at Self Mill. So, gentlemen, I'm going to be heading out. I didn't want to get out too early, but I'm heading out. So I have greatly enjoyed this conversation over these 3 segments. But I'm going to say goodnight now.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good night.
Well,
B.
2 words.
I guess very, very quickly, thank you to everyone that gave constructive criticism for last week's episode. And one person on Twitter said, hey, whatever happened to the part where Brian tallies up the points and does things to basically summarize where the characters are and assigns new abilities and things like that. And that is a very good point, because I did that after the first episode, not the intro episode, but the first episode. And then I believe after that was an episode where I kind of had to go suddenly, and then that was the same kind of situation as last time. So it was something. It's something I need to be doing, and unfortunately, the end of the episode is a rough time for that, because it's usually okay, time to go. But I will be addressing that in the future. So thank you to that person. I'm not looking it up now, but thank you to pointing that out. Otherwise, yes, you guys have a good night, and Dark, I'll see you on Saturday. Baby.
Ooh, baby.
Peace out, dog.
Son. Oh, and there he goes. So, it is worth noting that because Standard has been so bad lately, and things like missing Felidar Guardian happened, Wizards has overhauled their process, and they've actually created a whole new thing.
What's it called? The play experience team, something like that?
Play design.
Play design.
Where people will be heavily involved in design and development, and like their job is to essentially playtest it, make sure nothing's stupid, nothing's terrible, nothing's broken, nothing's awful, nothing's miserable. And that's their job.
Yeah, it's kind of like a more focused future league type deal.
Yeah, instead of the future league being whoever's handy, hey, play this and make sure nothing's stupid. This is their job, full time, to make sure nothing's stupid.
Mm.
And that's awesome, especially when several of them are former high-level players. So yeah. But Wizards is serious about making sure people aren't miserable playing their game, which is important.
You'd think so, right?
Like, who made Risk?
Avalon Hill?
I'll look it up real quick.
It says Hasbro. Hasbro publishes it.
But I think Hasbro bought Avalon Hills a while back.
I don't know. It says...
I don't know. Whatever. Hasbro publishes it now.
Yeah. But over the years, people have learned, and I learned this... Oh, it was Avalon Hill, yeah. Over the years, I have learned, and I just learned this listening to the board games episode of Random Discard that Clues and Rich do, which used to be about Magic, but now it's about nerd culture in general because they have moved away from Magic. So that's cool. They've kept the show going and branched out. And I'm enjoying listening to their non-Magic episodes. But they did an episode on board games, and they were talking about how Risk is miserable to play. Risk is fun. I enjoy Risk. I way prefer digital Risk. Because Risk is a large pain in the ass to actually set up and physically play. And it takes forever, which is why a digital version is just so much better. But they've learned that people hate playing their game, so they've altered the rules over the years to make games faster and less grindy and less miserable. By, changing this rule here and that rule there and things like that. And that's awesome, but Wizards can't afford to get people to the point where they hate playing their game. So they're they're committed to making sure that doesn't happen. And good on them. I really hope that it doesn't happen. But yeah, as for why they ban cards and why there's a ban restricted list, it's all about maintaining balance. They want people to be able to play a variety of different decks with a variety of different cards in every format. And if they find that one format is getting run over by something that they printed, well, they try to nudge it. Or in some cases, they try to nudge it.
With a hammer.
Yes, a banhammer, one might say. Shut up. So yeah, they try real hard to just, like I said, nudge it. Just push a deck slightly. If a deck rises too high, they just kind of tap it back down. But sometimes a deck shoots too high and they have to lop it off at the knees. Broken Pod. Etherworks Marvel. Things like that. And complain about it all you will, but they do it for the greater good. So, like Mike as a Tron player was like, man, I really hate that they banned the Ivugan. But then Mike also understands they kind of had to ban the Ivugan.
Yeah, and I was able to, I replaced it with Sanctum of Ugin, and I changed some of the specific cards in the deck around. And it was still okay, but it definitely wasn't the same.
Yeah. In that case...
Especially my version still only being okay, because my versions are usually kind of dumb. But
well, you're Mike. It's what you do.
Kindred spirit.
Exactly. But, yeah, in that case, Tron players were, a victim of circumstance. The secondary function on a card in their deck that they gave that game, or that deck, some really good late game options. Well, that deck never would have gotten to the late game because the Eldrazi Scourge killed it on turn 4. So, yeah, sacrifices had to be made for the greater good, and that's how all these bans work. Whether you agree with it or not, just keep in mind, Wizards has the best interest of the game at heart. It might not seem like it at the time. Sometimes it's like, what are you, high? But it turns out they might have a card coming, cough, cough, Nicol Bolas, that would have been completely insane had they not made that ban.
They do generally have an idea of what they want to do, and their idea of what's best for the game might not always match ours.
True. But in the end, it is technically their game.
Yeah.
And they could take their ball and go home and then no one can play. But they don't want to do that because then that's a multi-million-dollar business down the turlet. So let's not do that. And they're trying real hard to avoid that.
They like being paid.
Because, damn it, I want to go back to Dominaria, so Magic is not allowed to die until after that set comes out, alright? Damn it. So, yeah. This has been an interesting walk through history here. In the best possible way. In some parts it was like a train wreck, and you're trying to figure out how all these things happened to cause this train wreck. It's like the history of World War One. Like, the history books say, well, the Archduke was assassinated and that kicked everything off. There's way more to it than that, though. And if you start digging into it, you'll be like, what? And that's how the early days of the Magic Ban restricted list. It's like, wait, why was... Oh. Why was Rook Egg restricted? What?
I mean, remember, the lessons from the early days of the ban list can be summed up with, but Dark Ritual is fine.
It is totally fine.
Better ban Hypnotic Spectre just to be safe.
Yeah.
Because turn 1 hippie is pretty good.
Those hippies.
Oh my god. Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you, man.
So, and it should be pointed out, by the way, that Dark Ritual is legal in all the things. Because it's fine.
It's just fine.
So, I think it's probably safe to end there. What do you guys think?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we won't have to talk about any more standard bans for a very long time. Like 6 years. So, how about some final thoughts? I get the feeling we should start with Dirk because it's late.
Mm-hmm. It's been nice kind of going through and seeing some of the cards and hearing as to why some of them have been banned, and some of them, as they have pointed out as I'm reading them, going, wow, they waited till now to ban that. that seems kind of messed up. And like ones in particular where it's this card and this card, and then you read them and go, oh yeah, I definitely see why they banned that one. Unfortunately, with the banned and restricted stuff, I don't keep up enough with the game to be able to add a lot to the discussion. But it has been nice kind of going through the cards and seeing why they banned certain cards. So I'm looking forward to finally being in the new house, and as Brian said, I will hopefully see everybody but Mike on
Sick.
burned. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the guys a lot more often, and being able to play cards more often. So hopefully, if there's ever something comes up during a week and we are unable to meet or to record, that we'll definitely have a few live episodes that we can put in its place, and that being closer to everybody will definitely help that be more often occurrence. So with that, I will tell everybody good night and be safe. Later.
Night, Dirk.
Night, Dirk.
And I
That was Dirk.
Yes, it was. All right. Well, then, how about you, Mr. Guest Host, Level 3 Judge, StarCityGames.com writer?
Still not old. Yeah. Anytime you guys will have me on, I'm going to say yes. I love this stuff. And this has been a really fun trip through memory lane, and just seeing all of the cards that people used to think were completely reasonable Magic the Gathering cards. Spoilers, nope.
Except for Dark Ritual.
Which is fine. Yeah, so it's an interesting time for me right now. I've just finished GP Toronto. And between now and the end of September, I have something like 8 events.
Good Lord.
I have SCG Syracuse, then Regional PTQ in Toronto, then GP Indy, GP DC, Eternal Extravaganza 7, and GP Providence.
Nice.
Yeah. My girlfriend doesn't necessarily agree.
Well, yeah.
But it's been a great time. Articles have been a little weird recently, with Standard being in flux, and then Toronto last week was just a little draining on the old energy levels.
Understand.
But we've had a lot of fun here with this tonight, and I've really enjoyed the entire series, and hopefully we find another excuse to get me on to talk with you guys soon.
That seems good. Yeah.
And of course the Pro Tour is on, so we should all be watching it as soon as this podcast finishes.
Yeah, let me get right on that. Isn't it
By the
limited?
time this is, the first 3 rounds are.
That's what I mean. Like right now? Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that.
But by the time this goes up, like the Pro Tour is over and we already know who's won, right?
By the time it goes public, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's going up for the early release people tonight, and maybe. I don't know, it's already 11 o'clock, but still.
I mean, you're going to have to drive tomorrow.
I do, actually, yeah. Not very far and not until late, but still, I do.
See? Maybe I'll come to GP Richmond or Pro Tour Richmond next year, and then you can come and...
Hey, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Pro Tour Dominaria is in Richmond.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might actually be something I'd like to go and spectate.
What's that, like 4 hours from you guys?
I don't even think it's that far.
Yeah, it's not too exorbitant.
I mean...
Like, we didn't go to D.C., we didn't go to Nashville, but Richmond, that one's going to be hard to justify not going to.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, the 3 questions from that would be epic.
I don't even know about all that. I might just go to hang out.
I'm going to go, if I can get on stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Sick.
From my apartment, well, from Kernersville to Richmond is 3 hours and 20 minutes. So yeah, that's not bad at all.
I'm not even going to make a joke about qualifying to play. That is just not going to happen.
Stranger things have happened, man.
Maybe not this strange.
Maybe.
Yeah, wait. I top 8 at PTQ. Bill top 4 at PTQ. What's your problem, Mike? You haven't even day 2 to GP yet, scrub.
No.
I have.
Brian has.
It was great. I was on camera and everything. The
Dirk
one
apparently
time
top 8 at a GP once, but
I remember that episode.
but no one seems to have any record of it. I don't understand.
Yeah, we're short on details for some reason.
The one time I went to a GP and didn't have my Maniple t-shirt on day 1, and I make it on camera.
Oh.
Curses.
No, I wasn't playing any of those.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah.
Basics.
Basics?
Yeah, were you playing any of those?
Yes, definitely.
Sick.
Not many, though.
Lord. So, hey, Chris.
Yo,
When do your articles go up on Star City?
every Monday on the select side of StarCityGames.com.
Yay.
I'll be writing about the Pro Tour for the next couple of weeks, talking about all of the fun decks that aren't getting necessarily the press that maybe they should. Generally speaking, Sam Black's deck makes it.
Usually, yeah. It's like, oh, which one? Yes.
I mean, the guy's a genius.
Oh, you remember the what was the stupid sack a goblin or sack a creature goblin enchantment thing?
Goblin Bombardment.
Bombardment, yeah. How many different goblin bombardment decks has he played at various events over the years?
I mean, he's on record as saying that he thinks sacrifice is the most powerful mechanic in Magic.
I mean,
It's up there.
yeah. He's not necessarily wrong.
He is not, indeed.
All right, then. So, how about you there, Beardy Man?
Let's see. It was also on that trip down memory lane to talk about some of this stuff, and I hope I'm not coming off as a know-it-all when we're going over some of these things. But of course, now we've had the opportunity to discuss and learn about all of these things after they happen. So, we do know a lot about them now. Of course, more than we did at the time. But still, a lot of them were really clear at the time that they needed to happen.
Yeah, Mike's like, sorry if I sound like a know-it-all, but I do in fact know it all.
Okay. As I was getting near the end of that explanation, I was wondering if I accidentally, canceled out what I intended to communicate there. But
Oh no, I didn't think
Whatever.
so. I was just picking on you.
yes, that was cool. Oh, and gosh, I don't know why, but I was just thinking about this earlier. I think as Brian was doing his final thought, I need to tell Thomas about one of the Unhinged previews that came out of San Diego Comic-Con.
Unstable?
Unstable. Oh, is that what it's called? Yeah, Unstable, right. Because Steam Flogger Boss was one of the cards they showed.
Yeah, it's actually being
Unstable.
printed in Unstable with a black border
Yeah.
because it's a normal card. So it's on the land sheet. No kidding. Like, this is a thing that was spoken about at Comic-Con.
Mhm.
Because all the other sheets are silver bordered because it's an unset.
Mhm.
I was very disappointed that they're not doing full text lands.
Shut up, Chris.
Come on, you'd love it.
So what else you got, Mike? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All
I really do need to tell my brother about that. He'll be very, very strongly amused by it.
It's because it's funny.
Yeah.
So that leaves me where I'll ordinarily I would go through a bunch of stuff that's going on the various medias, but this episode's pushing 3 hours. So instead, I'll just say, over on youtube.com/themanapool, there's finished Shovel Knight, opened 50 loot boxes in Heroes of the Storm because I won them in a sweepstakes thing, and The Walking Dead videos are up now, and Left 4 Dead is continuing. Yay. Over on Twitch, streaming. Yay. Twitch.tv/themanapool. Yes. And then, of course, there's Twitter at the Manapool. Dorks at themanapool.com is the email address. Themanapool.com is the website where you can find all of the podcasters. And, of course, you can hear me on Monday Night Magic over on MTGcast, also every week. Is that everything? I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Facebook.com/themanapool. Ha-ha! Is a place where anytime anything happens or goes up, podcasts, YouTube videos, when I go live on Twitch, all that stuff, it goes to Facebook.com/themanapool. So if you want to keep up, go there. And Twitter is where I do most of my interaction. Yeah. Also, hey you, listening, the 11-year-old. Yeah, you. Your dad, Jeff Spencer, he's pretty awesome. Just blew that kid's mind. So, because that's 2 weeks in a row. What? So, if you want to help support what I do with all of this podcasting and YouTubing and Twitching and all that good stuff, you can go to patreon.com/themanapool and check it out. You can get YouTube videos and Manapool episodes early. You can get that and the odds and ends, all the stuff that's recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manapool that's uncensored and unfiltered and is just generally us being us. And if you so choose, you can get all of that and get your name on the end screen for all the videos that go up in each month that you support at that tier. Yay! And every little bit helps, and I really do appreciate it. So it just leaves me to thank my dorks and special guest level 3 judge, Chris Lansdell.
Yep, thank you for having me, as usual.
And thank you all so very much for watching, and Dark Ritual's fine.